Wow. Greetings, gamers, and welcome to the 193rd live stream from the Misfit Gamer Studios. I am your host, Vortex, and this is D&D Discussions. On today's episode, we have a new Druid subclass coming from Soul. It is the Circle of Extinction. We talked about this a little bit last week. We were thinking maybe necromancy, but we were also thinking possibly something to do with ancient creatures. And I got a peek at some of the artwork, and yeah, definitely ancient creatures. So we're going to stick with that one. But I'm really curious to see if it's more about the wild shape, if it's about summoning, if it's both. I don't know how it's going to come out, but join us and let's see how the Circle of Extinction works. Oh, nice. You can just see my my monitor there the whole time. That was brilliant. Well, you know what? It doesn't matter.
We are here. We are chilling. We are
Good night, Hoylepa. Take it easy. Thanks for showing up at least. Of course, you are excited, Soul. You are always excited.
We love that you are excited, and I am excited to see what you got.
Hoylepa, explain yourself. How does an undeath wild shape work? Like wild shape into an undead version?
Like a skeletal, colossal. That would be very interesting.
I guess that would be a much more proper necromantic druid, is one that would turn into the undead version of their animal. So they get all the same stats, but they're also considered undead for the purposes.
Kind of wild.
Why not?
Actually, fair enough.
That's a good topic that I should post for TikTok, is whether or not, like, how many people out there use their necromancer to raise more than humanoids, or is that just more of a 5th edition thing where you can't? Because you would expect they'd be raising plenty of different things.
So generally, necromancers and most of the like raise dead necromancy spells that I've seen usually say a humanoid corpse.
I would like to see a subclass of necromancer that, you know what? How about we build this? So put this as a note. What if we made a necromancer subclass? Because what is that? What is the necromancer technically under? Was that
Wizard.
cleric or wizard?
Wizard.
It's a wizard subclass.
It's a wizard subclass.
So we'd have to do an alternate necromancer, and I don't know what we would call it, but we'd flip the script. They can't raise humanoid, but they can raise other. So okay. I guess that would be.
Would you want it to still be a wizard, or would you want it to be a different kind of spellcaster?
Well, I guess that would be the druid version. So I guess the druid would only be able to raise non-humanoid, which would be very interesting. Actually, maybe that would be a new good sublet and subclass series, like how to make different classes into necromancers. Because I think a druid necromancer would raise something completely different.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to think on that. I'll stew on that a little bit.
Okay.
Wouldn't it be called wild shape at that point? It'd be called dead shape.
Oh, I like that.
Wild corpse. Wild corpse.
Wild. Okay.
I like that.
Okay.
That could be useful. Oh, right. So we will get back to you all probably, hopefully by Friday, about a whatchamacallit? What day our community stream will be.
That's right.
What's going on, Rain? How you doing? Yeah, so community stream will be coming up. We will let you all know what date that is, and then I will put a vote. As soon as we have a date, I will put the vote out in the Discord on what you want to see. But let me go ahead and get the next community stream up and running. So the last one was 10K, I believe.
15.
Or the last one was 15, so we're going up to 20 now. Okay, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Where is it?
I really think that
September. Oh yeah, it was
adjusting
it was 10K.
Adjusting it every time is the way to go.
So
because
and by 10,000?
By 5,000.
Oh, by 5,000.
But like you're
saying,
saying
15. Okay.
Yeah. But no, it would go up to 20 because we were at 15 and
no, we were at 10.
we were.
Yeah,
okay.
It was. Yeah, so May was 30, July was 20, and then September was 10. So we'll do.
But I just think that fluctuation helps.
Yeah.
Keep it at a spot that feels right for our community. Especially if they don't make it a month, we move it down. If they do make it a month, we move it up.
All right. 30 days.
Boom.
And October community stream is live. Y'all can now.
Sweet.
There we go. We are pretty good. Do we ever get a look at your game? Can you be more specific?
I think they had submitted for homebrew. They in the submissions channel they had sent in basically their own TTRPG, so to speak. It was something that we were planning on finding out like the best way to go about a review for something like that.
Right, that was before
This
I
was
did
a while
all
back.
the other. Okay, so a lot of my side projects, my bad. A lot of my side projects, like the dice profile and everything, got in the way of a lot of that. So that's probably on me for dropping that. Yeah, it would be easier to probably do something like that on a Friday. That's kind of what Fridays are
Sure.
now. We have plans for this Friday. We could possibly do it next Friday or the Friday after.
Okay.
We can at least get it somewhere on the schedule for that, because that would be kind of interesting to at least read through it, and that would be a good test, not only to just kind of give our thoughts on it, but we've talked about looking at other TTRPGs.
Yes.
And this would just be a way to see how we might want to present that.
Yes, and that's kind of what I was thinking.
And those would be on a Friday anyway.
Yeah.
So you have a better version of it. Well, if you do go ahead and update it, just make sure
Sweet.
Kage understands
Yes.
that it is an update. So make sure that you tag that as best you can. Hoylup talking about the undead beast form. Could have it have vampiric touch or bite. Yeah, I could see that.
Oh, that would be kind of dope. I would like that.
I could easily see that.
I would totally vibe with that.
Yeah. So send us that one, and we will plan for sometime in September. One of the Fridays in September. Not this one, but one of the following Fridays. We'll get you, and we'll take a look at that, and we'll see if we can review it for you.
No, that'll be pretty dope.
Have we heard of Critical Role? Critical Role. I don't. Is that
who is that?
What is that? Is that do you under Critical Role? I don't.
It's like an improv group.
Yeah, they might be like something small. Like I don't know. Are they like a smaller streamer? That might be it. They might just be kind of starting out or something like that. I don't know.
Noobs.
They probably just need all of the Shout out to Critical Role. Small streamers. They need all the help they can get.
Wow.
But yes, we have.
I have not seen what they announced for campaign 4, except for
the newest campaign.
It's one that
I remember they're going back to D&D for the newest campaign. I remember
yes,
that.
That's
which
what
is all the big controversy of
it's like, 'cause they just created Daggerheart, now they're not using it, and so like everybody's mad about it.
Yeah. And I find that absolutely, I find the whole discourse absolutely hilarious, by the way, especially them going back to D&D. I just think it's absolutely hilarious. Not for the reasons people think. I don't have any strong opinions on whether or not it has anything to do with contracts or money, or if they just realize that, hey, we did need, like us, we recognize that there is need for the publications of like the ADMG, but it's not like we expect it to replace anything.
Oh yeah.
And so I don't know if it was, I have no personal interest in following up on it because I don't watch them or anything like that. So the idea that it happened, there's so many reasons, you know what I mean? It could be money, it could be contract, it could be just general fan feedback. I mean, they may have seen a good uptick in Daggerheart, but once they played it, maybe they realized like, we can't keep doing this. That was so much easier with D&D. It was so much easier to pump these out. Because again, think about, even though he built it, Matt Mercer probably has so much more concept of how to run a D&D game, even though he built Daggerheart.
Sure.
So the idea of him trying to forever switch, especially since he's so popular, it could be that. You know, it could be that maybe as much as there was hype for it, maybe the numbers didn't show, because we've seen that before where people are so hype about it, but that's a reason why shows get canceled after season 1.
Sure.
Everyone's all mad about it, but it's like, when you really look at it, it's like, but no one watched it. Like, everyone's mad, but literally the ratings don't show anyone watched it.
You know what I mean?
So I don't know. I have no idea why they did that, but I will say, as just an outsider looking in, I find it absolutely hilarious. And I just want to see more chaos, because just watching everybody freak out in one direction, like everyone split when Daggerheart came out, and they were like, no, it's, you know, against form, and everyone was like, we need something new. And now they're going back to D&D, and so all those people that went to something new, now they split because they're like, we got to keep with tradition, and they're like, but we wanted something new. Like, it's just like, yes,
here's the deal.
Keep the discourse going. I love it. It's fun.
I am always happy when you add to the pool, but that's all it freaking is a pool. You have first edition to 5th edition. You have Daggerheart, you have Pathfinder, you have Call of Cthulhu, you have all, everything is just shit you pour into the big ass pool of stuff that you
Lore
can
confirmed,
do
Kage pisses in the pool
when you do all of your TTRPG shit, right? And then you just take out what you want to use and leave what you don't. That's all it is. Like, I'm happy that there's more stuff for us to look at, for us to try, for us to play with.
Take it easy, Huelepa. Have a good night.
Play whatever you guys want to play, but
yeah. Well,
and that's my pool.
That's honestly why I kind of have started to drift away from calling High Point D&D anymore. You know, it is like, at its core it is, but it's so much, you know, it's so far beyond that. High Point is its own creation. It just has roots in D&D, but it's so much more difficult, like, especially in the sphere now. You know, there's just so much division and emotional response when you say D&D. It's almost like when I talk about High Point, it's just not D&D anymore. You know what I mean? Like, especially because it's, even 2nd edition isn't D&D anymore. Like, compared to what D&D is now, even still saying that I play 2nd edition isn't D&D.
I'll say this. I get it, but I will forever use D&D like people use Kleenex.
I gotcha.
Like, it's
I'm trying to break away from doing that for no other reason than just, I think, to be more palatable in the marketing.
And that's fair enough. But like, when I use that terminology of D&D, people know what I'm talking about. Even if I were to refer to something like Pathfinder, I would still call it D&D. Like,
that one will probably get you into some arguments depending on who you're talking to.
You know, like, it's fine, but like, they're all encompassing in the same, the TTRPGs. I'm not gonna say TTRPG every single time. Like, I'm gonna call it D&D
or just tabletop. Like, it's easier to just go into tabletop. Like that's a lot easier for me now. Is just, you know, tabletop genre is much easier. But yeah, I get you. Like, I've always for years used it interchangeably, but especially on TikTok now, it's just a lot easier to separate when you're talking specifically about D&D and just in general, like, the campaign narrative.
Sure.
But that's the only reason why I'm doing it. It's just to be more palatable. It's just because there are people who have an aversion, and when I'm trying to talk about like how to be a good narrator, or when I'm giving advice on how to build a good backstory, or how to answer questions, I don't want to put that barrier or that filter there that some people will shy away from.
Sure.
If it's just immediately about a genre that they're not interested in, right? Because I want people who play Call of Cthulhu to be able to take my advice. When I talk about how to get into character and and how to involve a player a little bit more, especially one that doesn't, that's brand new, right? There are some universal truths that game masters and runners can share. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people, even when I watch it, right? And it's not even so much like the comments I get, but being in the space, watching so many other D&D content creators that are so well steeped and just absolutely have gone, just plunged to the deep end of D&D is their thing, like through and through. If their comments seem to get well divided when they're trying to talk about something, and then you see how many people come in and are like, well, it's not like that in this game. It's not like that in this TTRP. It's not like that in this. It's not like you can't do that. And it's like some of the conversations are legit, right? They are specifically talking about a module or a lore. But a lot of these people are knee-jerk reacting to when they say, hey, as a DM, I sometimes fudge dice numbers. Well, you in this system over here, in this TT, you would never be able to do. It's like you could in every TTRPG, you could like the mechanics don't change based on what you'd roll. The mechanics change based on how you calculate the number. Whether you put a 7 in the calculation or a 20, the calculation still calculates.
It's just like we're talking about with Marvel Rivals. We can just change some of the damage numbers, but the same process is going to still occur.
Right. So it's one of those areas where I'm recognizing that there is still a very strong part of the community that resonates in a way when they hear D&D. And I just want to reserve that in those moments that I feel it is like
making that distinction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. Anything wrong with that?
But yeah, we'll see. Get the fuck out of here. All right. But yeah. Oh, so other quick, exciting news for this Friday. Because we've had a couple Fridays with OSR alpha testing, which has been phenomenal. Thank you all for showing up for that. It's been really great. But we're going to take a break from that, at least this Friday, because we have some things we got to think about at this point in terms of how we want to roll out the test phase, how we actually want to test doing that. And I haven't figured out exactly how I want to make it easy on us yet. So we're going to take a break because this Friday, Vixie's going to join us.
Oh,
we're going to have Vixie joining us.
Wild, amazing.
Because when I went to the dice shop today, I went to the local shop, the same one that we drove out to do the minis.
Yep, that's
local.
right.
Local. It depends on what you mean by local, right? I don't know if that's within what I consider walking distance. Is that local if it's not within walking distance?
Yeah. I would say anything within your general town would be considered local. Like if you don't have to
it's on the other side of town,
city lines or whatever.
I mean, technically it's within the city limits, so that's fine.
Fair.
But yeah, anyway, so yeah, the minis, the place that we did the mini paintings at, I have been going out there to scope some potential dice for the dice profiler because they have some really unique and nice ones, and they do sales sometimes, so it's nice to get those.
Oh yes,
and I can get a couple more. But while I was there, I saw something I didn't know existed. And as soon as I saw it, because every now and again, Vixie and I like to pick up a new board game. And we have Board Game Night, which is a new series that we want to do.
Yes, indeed.
And so as soon as I saw this game, knew I had to get it. There's a lot of games that look cool. And more often than not, I'm just like, I don't want to spend my money on something that I either just don't seem to have an interest in learning about, or I'm only going to play once.
Sure.
So that's always difficult. But there are some games where it sucks when you see a game and then you realize it's an expansion. And you have to own the original game.
Right.
So I saw a game there. As soon as I saw it, I just was like, we're getting that. And we're playing that this Friday.
All right.
So this Friday, you got Jumanji. Fuck, I wish.
Wild.
If legit Jumanji, I would probably get that. No. But
that'd be dope.
So one of my favorite games that Vixie and I own that we don't get to play very often is called Betrayal at House on the Hill. And it is that one where as you go to each room, you put a new tile down, so you build the map as you go.
Yeah. I played that.
You research it with, you search throughout the house with your team, but at some point, a trigger is going to happen. And then you open up the booklet to that trigger, and someone on the team, someone on the, at the table is going to, at that point, unbeknownst to anybody, they will suddenly become the betrayer. So the game starts with everybody on the same team, right? So you start with like 4 people.
Right.
You start in the house and you start to explore it together. And you're trying to pick up things and items and explore the house. But at some point, something's going to happen. And the book will tell you, if this happens, go to this page.
Sure.
And when you go to that page, it's going to say the person with the blue character or the person in this room or the furthest person. Like, it's going to figure out.
At that point, everybody will know who the betrayer is?
Yes.
Okay.
But what's cool is there's 2 booklets. So once you find out who the betrayer is, you hand them a booklet and it'll tell them to go to a certain page. They have to leave the room and go read that page alone, because that now has their rules for how to win this game. They didn't know about that until just now. So that's the cool part about this game is you never know who will begin to betray. So you work as best as you can together, but you never know if you end up being the betrayer. But you'll leave the room and the booklet will tell you how you win the game, what your special like abilities are, what you can do, and what they're like basically what you're going to be up against. But you won't know everything. While you leave the room, whoever stays whoever's basically not the betrayers, they open the other booklet to a different page and it explains their
new
rules to win. So we each get now rules to win and special things that we can do and things to look out for. But we won't know, like the good guys don't know what the betrayer's goal is. And the betrayer doesn't know what their goal is. But they know like, hey, you could go to these rooms and lock doors. So you'll know that's going to be important.
Interesting.
But you don't know why. You don't know what's, you know what I mean? So it's kind of, and then you come back together after everyone's good and then you play the game. But remember, at that point, you're sitting at the table with them, but you have to keep your knowledge and we have to keep our knowledge. So we're at the table, but we have to like tell each other to like go do things without like just saying this is what, like go to the room and flip that switch before he does this. Well, then I missed it. I better go do that. So what they have to do is be like, so you're gonna do that thing, right? So okay, you're gonna move, I'm gonna move, and then you're gonna move and do that thing. Okay, like you really have to make sure, because if you tell the person, hey, we need to do these 3 things before this happens. Well, if you know that, why wouldn't you just go do the thing, right? But you have to learn.
I feel like that makes it harder for the group of people because they have to communicate with each other and the betrayer doesn't. The betrayer just keeps his mouth shut, listen to all the bullshit and be like, I bet, see what you got. Let me see if I can't.
It's a phenomenal game. I'm so happy with it. I really enjoy it. And so when I saw this, I got ecstatic. Because at first I thought it was an expansion, and then I realized it was a standalone. Made it even better.
Oh, wild.
So this Friday, we are going to crack open
wild.
Betrayal
Very
at Baldur's Gate. This is a D&D themed version. Oh. Weird. Box is damaged. Oh well, not like it matters. But yes, so a D&D version of Betrayal.
That's crazy.
At the Hill. So it is a tile-based game where we will build the dungeon and someone will eventually betray. But it's going to be D&D themed.
That's going to be so cool. That's going to be so cool. I am very excited for that.
I'm super excited. So, never split this party unless someone's the betrayer. The city of Baldur's Gate so the city of Baldur's Gate has become twisted by evil. Enter if you dare. With every tile you place, your adventuring party works together to build the city's catacombs and alleys. That is, until some horrific event turns one of you against the others. Then it's a race for survival as you face an onslaught of fearsome monsters from the Dungeons & Dragons universe, like Beholders and Mind Flayers. Based on the award-winning Betrayal and House on the Hill board game, Betrayal at Baldur's Gate offers 50 scenarios filled with danger and dread. You'll return to Baldur's Gate again and again, only to discover it's never the same adventure twice. And just like the real game, because it's a tile-based, the mansion's never the same, right? It's always random. Right. And just like the real game, I think the real game has like 30 to 50 scenarios that could happen. We've only ever seen, I think Vixie and I have seen 7 of them.
Have you ever seen like the same one twice?
No.
Wild.
So this is 50 D&D adventures.
Wild.
So
wild.
We are going to be playing this on Friday. If y'all want to be watch that, tune in on Friday for Betrayal at Baldur's Gate. I am so excited for that. I saw that and I was just like, yep, that's coming with me today.
Well,
it was not
like that's
even a
happening.
question. All right. But that's it. So let's see here. October community stream is ready to go, 15K. So you all can contribute to that starting now. And we will have the update for you on the this month's, hopefully in a day or two, or by the end of the week, if we can manage it. We will try to let you know when we're going to do that. But yeah. There we go. So, with that being said, I think we can begin with our review today.
It is time.
I think it is absolutely time. I know Soul's been waiting for this, but that's enough on our update. So, I see that Soul's already contributed to the next month's community stream. Fantastic. And we will continue on with today's plans. What's going on, plants? How you doing tonight? All right, so where are you? All right, so today we have from Soul, Circle of Extinction, a new Druid subclass. And again, we kind of talked about this a little bit last week on what we thought this might be, but you guys can't see the little image, but we already kind of understand that this is going to be something akin to ancient creatures, not necessarily making creatures go extinct. So
got you. Fair enough.
Yeah, that's gonna good distinction there. So, as always, we will begin with the description of Circle of Extinction. Having watched other druids fail at finding their true predatory self, some sought ancient legends only found in fossils to find their powers. Seeking these powers came at a cost, however. Many druids who seek such powers end up losing who they once were, losing their natural ability to wild shape at a cost for ultimate predatorial power. To call upon the might of the ancient beast is to become nature's most perfect predator. That's fascinating. So I'm hoping that is what the lead up to the exchange of wild shape. So you're going to lose what we know as your druid wild shape, is what it's sounding like. And I'm hoping that means, I'm wondering if that's going to be similar to the way that we did the Chimera Druid, where you get like a custom one. Is it just meaning that you are shut off from modern creatures and you can only have this new list? So those are kind of the things I'm wondering. Is either I'm expecting to see either a single creature that we become, like your perfect predator,
sure,
or we're going to get a new list. Like it's going to give us a custom list, kind of like how Wild Shape has it.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Those are my two expectations.
Predictions.
Yeah. And here is that imagery. So we can already tell that there are going to be dinosaurs going on. So with that, I'm really hoping that, yes, the idea of channeling through fossils, trying to find what was nature's ultimate predator at some point. So that will be interesting.
I'm curious if it'll be somewhat like the Chimera, because usually fossils you only find pieces. So maybe you only find like a piece, like, maybe I can only transform my arm. You would literally
piece it together.
Yeah, and then you could eventually unlock like a full thing once you like put all of the pieces together or something like that.
That would be an interesting mechanic. I'm also wondering, like, again, if we just give it its counterparts. I mean, instead of turning into a giant hawk, you could turn into like a pterodactyl. So you still get a flying version.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And instead of like, a dire wolf or a large cat, you probably get like a saber-toothed tiger. I wonder if we'd get like the woolly mammoth. So there's a lot of creatures I could see being exchanged for the modern druid wild shapes. But we'll see. We'll see what Soul has in store. I am liking the imagery. I did kind of expect it with these wings up here. I'm not really sure what's going on with that one or or this guy over here. But it's fine. It's fine. It's pretty subtle. Up front, it's not as obvious up front. But back here, you pay too much attention. Transforms into a Tarrasque. So funny enough, we have someone building out had someone who built out that trap born.
Yes, actually, that's very true.
We actually had another one of our community members build out what they called the Tarrasque-born, which was a dragonborn playable race, but from the Tarrasque itself. And then there was also a creature that they created,
Yes.
which was
Like
it was a genetic which was
like
it was a genetic Tarask. It was like a
Yes.
genetically modified Tarask, which was really interesting. So a Tarask druid would be fascinating.
that would be wild.
Like a druid, I don't know what that would be though. Like a monstrosity druid.
I could see that. Like, there are a lot of strange. You'd finally be able to turn into. I stay forgetting what their names are. Not the Blink Dogs. The Panther.
Oh, Displacer Beast.
Displacer
You always
Beast.
remember. I should just guess Displacer Beast every time.
I don't know why.
But that would be fascinating. Yeah, a druid based on monstrosities. I'm gonna think about that. If someone wants to submit that,
that would be very cool.
That. Did it eat dirt? I don't think so. We didn't get that much lore on it, but maybe it should have.
What?
I guess the Trask regularly eats dirt because it like has to, I guess, tunnel. That's how it tunnels. So that would make sense.
That could.
I don't think the Trask one had tunneling though. I think that was the one thing we didn't get with it.
Yeah,
I don't remember having tunneling. All right. So let's see what this new druid, Circle of Extinction, looks like. Starting at level 3, we get fossil shifting. Your druidic powers revert back to the prehistoric ages, back to the early druids who roamed alongside the dinosaurs. Your wild shape reverts back to an earlier form known as fossil shifting, where you can shift specific limbs instead of your full self. Due to your prehistoric powers, you feel durable enough to face off against your upcoming foes with ease. You lose the natural ability to wild shape completely, instead being able to shift one individual limb using the shifts listed below and gaining the benefits attached. Your hit die increases from a D8 to a D10 to make up for not having your ability to wild shape. So we're getting a little bit of a beefier one. And the shifts. Okay, so we get arms, legs, body, tail, head, and then extras. This is very similar feeling to that Chimera build. Like the pieces.
Oh, interesting.
This is very like the piecemealing.
So I will also say, traditionally, and Soul, please tell me if this was intentional. Traditionally, druids get their subclass at level 2, but this one waited until level 3 to get it. So I will say,
which kind of makes sense because you start still as a druid, and then this kind of manifests, and then you lose what you had. So I don't mind that it does that because it kind of makes sense.
Because so theoretically, yeah, if you want to go that way, because you're supposed to get wild shape at level 2, I think.
So you would have one level where as a regular druid, and then at level 3 you get to choose to drop that for this.
Interesting.
I don't mind that.
Okay.
Okay, so first initial thoughts so far. I'm not a huge fan of the names, simply because if it's called fossil shifting, but it's the original form of wild shape, they wouldn't have called it fossil shifting. Because fossils don't exist when they're not, like, you know what I'm saying? Like the idea that
so they're saying this is the original.
Well, because like the idea is that you revert back to an earlier form known as fossil shifting, and I'm just like,
well, maybe that's because the practice of shifting based off of fossils is no longer used.
Well, so that's where I would prefer the lore. Is like it seems like it's more like the way that I read it is saying like this used to be how you did it, and it was called fossil shifting, but it wouldn't have been called. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being pedantic. But it's just one of those things where it's like, if it's about the things you can see, I would agree calling it fossils. I just have a problem that's saying it's going back to an earlier form known as fossil shifting. It's just like, but it wouldn't have been called fossil shifting back then.
Interesting. And maybe that's just what they called it now that they're bringing it back. Maybe it's the rebranding
honestly,
campaign.
You know what personally, I would have just called it wild shifting. Personally.
Okay.
If it's not going to be about like finding or being able to see a fossil and then shift, even just like wild shape, because wild shape, right? That's what it would have evolved into, like the wild shape. You took the whole thing, but back then it would have been something along the lines of like wild shifting, where you'd get a piece of it. So I'm being pedantic. I'm not going to hold that against you because you can name it whatever you want. It's just, I don't know. I expected something different when I hear fossil, so it just doesn't. It doesn't stack up for me on a logic basis. But names are less important than what it can do.
This is very true.
So going off to my next topic, because one that's more specific to how this works. not at all what I was expecting. The idea of going from full shift to partial shift. That is not at all what I was expecting from this. I think it's definitely sounding a lot more like it's going to lean into your idea, where I'm now expecting this to build on itself, where I can do multiple of these at a time.
Okay.
And so therefore, like you said, kind of like the Chimera, you're building the apex predator that never existed based off of this ancient knowledge.
Okay.
So if I can shift my arm, and then I can shift my tail, and then I can shift my head, they all don't have to match.
Yes.
So that's what that's what I'm expecting to happen. Is it's this idea that you've unlocked all these other creatures, but you don't know, even that would have been maybe more of an acceptable lore, is instead of you're unlocking this old ability, the idea is that you know enough about these creatures, almost like you said, where you only know enough about pieces of them. So you can't fully shift, but you can partially shift. So, there's a lot that one could easily work the lore with.
Yeah.
It kind of seems like you get to fill out, transform more as you fill out the archaeological record. See, that would be cool too. Having some kind of goal to be able to fill it out. That would be very interesting.
It'd be super interesting if you actually added like a role play aspect to it. Like you have some like record or whatever that you're keeping, almost like a spell book for wizards, but like an archaeological record of certain like creatures.
You know what I mean? A way that second edition would have done it is give the druid a similar spell to like find familiar. So every couple levels or every once a level, you can cast this spell and it will find, within like a couple days, like a fossil that you can go and adventure to. And if you get to it, it will unlock like a new form.
Oh, interesting.
Because there was plenty of spells like that back in the day that would give you like questable opportunities to go get something.
Yeah.
That would have been a way nicer touch. As every level you get to go and have like a little mini side quest. And if you complete it, you get to add a new creature. Or if you don't complete it, you just get to like add to the creature you already know.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like you still get something. It's not just a dead end. So that would be interesting.
Okay.
Indominus Rex. Exactly. I think that's, try to strive to become Indominus Rex is a good way to put it. All right. So I'm kind of thrown off by it. I was not expecting the single shifts. I'm not against the idea. I just wish I had more mechanical lore.
Like, mechanical understanding is like, why is this the way that it ended up working?
Yeah, I just want more lore and understanding of why we're explaining it working this way. But I'm down. I'm down for it. I like this idea. We've talked about this, especially with the Chimera. So I'm totally down for it. All right. So moving on to level 6, we get Predatorial Evolution. You have grown closer to your prehistoric ancestors, finding your balance in your roots. You feel as though you are evolving due to your powers growing. Your fossil state ability now extends to 2 adaptations instead of 1 that you can maintain simultaneously. See, there it is. So we are growing. You are creating the absolute apex predator that you can envision. When shifted, you gain temporary hit points equal to your druid level. That's not normal, right?
So
you get normally a normal hit block, but you don't get temporary HP.
So that depends on which version you're using. I believe in the 2024 version of Druid, instead of taking on the full stats of the creature that you transform into, you just get some additional hit points and maybe a shift in AC. I think that's how they're playing it, so that it feels less like you get 2 full lives when you're in your wild shape.
True. Yeah. I do see what you're saying, Plants. So it looks like the shifting, we have a list down here that we'll go over, is like the foster steps. So it does look like you get arms and legs at level 3, you get body and tail at level 6, which we would have just unlocked, and then you'll get head and extras. Now we don't know exactly what these do. We'll kind of go, it seems like they're going to be based on individual pieces, but I don't really know how. Yeah, we have talked about this in the past with some of the reviews. Sometimes giving too much overloads the character or creates too much to keep track of.
Sure.
Sometimes less is more.
Agreed.
So we'll see if having 4 options for arms, legs, body, tail, head, extras, like those are a lot of options. I am definitely worried about fatigue and just about, analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
But I'm also concerned that it's just going to be a lot on everybody to be like, oh, well, I have this, so I can, you know what I mean? Like it is. There's just not only a lot to choose from, but then a lot that you can mix and match and throw on the battlefield all at once.
I feel like depending upon like how it's laid out, like I feel like it's possible to be like to have it look like this but still feel like it's a quick and simple choice. But I 100% agree. It can easily toe that line of just going the other way. It's like there's just so many things that I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I could have one leg over here, one leg. You know, I mean, granted, at the first 3 levels, you only get to choose one thing. So you're just saying which one of these things in this list is the most useful for this particular situation.
Yeah.
As soon as you get 2 of them, now you can combo things, now you can do stuff together.
And you're getting 2 other areas of the body you can affect. It's not just that you get another one, but you're also adding up to 4 different things you can change.
Is my understanding of this correctly? Like the way this works is this like a change that I can activate whenever I feel like it, or do I get a number of uses of this similar to the wild shape?
So it says it replaces wild shape. Your wild shape reverts back to another form.
Fossil shifting.
And it just says you can do these. So I'm going to take that, and Soul, please chime in if you can. I'm taking that as it works exactly like wild shape. It's just parts instead of the whole body.
So when I look at the standard druid mechanics and I look at the wild shapes and how many you get, I'm going to be doing the same thing, and I can transform my body in these ways for a number of hours equal to my druid level according to the rest of the rules of the okay.
Yeah.
As long as I'm understanding that, I'll get, once we start seeing what this stuff is, I'll get a little bit of a better idea of how I feel about how this works and how I'll feel about like actually using that in game.
Yeah. Lance, I have a feeling that you would like our Chimera Druid video. We do have an actual, that's one of the few videos that I actually did edit down.
Oh, yeah.
So if you didn't want to see the whole VOD, we do have a VOD channel. But if you're interested, you can check out our YouTube channel. We do have a custom build that we did on stream called the Chimera Druid. And it's you're touching points that we talked about in chat.
Yeah.
So I think that you might actually like that particular build sometime if you're ever just looking for something in the background. It's a wild build. I really am impressed with what we came up with. I really liked the idea of it being able to, I mean, long story short, it's basically a druid that gets to build your own wild shape.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It really is pretty cool.
So but yeah, so I'm assuming that I haven't heard from so it is correct. It does work similar to wild shape, but it's just limited to specific limbs. Cool. So moving on to the predatorial evolution. So first we got arms, legs. Now we are getting the additive of body and tail.
Okay. And you're getting the ability to choose more than one.
So here's one thing I'm going to suggest. We haven't even gotten to these yet, but here's one thing I'm immediately going to suggest. I think each iteration of your ability to change should be locked. So your first iteration gave you arms and legs, right? Your second gave you body and tail. I think the combos should be arms, body, arms, tail, legs, body, legs, tail.
So you're saying, scroll up, you're saying I can't have a leg and an arm at the same time.
I think that makes the most sense because if I get one thing to change and the first thing I unlock is arm or legs, that's my thing, right? I can either change my arms or my legs.
Mm-hmm.
But when I unlock body and tail,
imagine not using any of the body and tail stuff and just using...
I'm thinking those are 2 of their own category. I can do a body or a tail, and I can do arms or legs.
Okay.
I think, personally, that would help the analysis paralysis.
I would agree. That would help a lot for that.
Because then you're also not being like, oh, do I want these arms and these legs, or do I want those arms and that body, or do I want those arms and that tail, or do I want those arms and that head? If you can only have arms or legs, at first you're just like, okay, first change, am I doing arms or legs? I want those arms. I want those arms. That's it. You literally cut out everything instead of being like, I want this and that, right? So that would be one whole block. Then the body and the tail. Do I want a body or do I want a tail? Boom. You can make that decision. And then do I want a head or do I want something extra? You can make that decision faster. I think that would make it smoother, personally. I wouldn't even mind. This would be more difficult to track, but I wouldn't even mind if that was the order that you had to shift in. You have to choose arms, legs first, but that would be harder to track.
Right.
But I still think that you should have these shifts should be like shift 1 is arms or legs. Shift 2 is body or tail. That's my personal instinct to make this a little bit nicer, just because we have so many options. That's the only real reason why
I don't mind that at all. I'm gonna reserve anything until I see what these things can do, because I feel like that's going to have pretty large impact for me.
Reptile from Marvel Comics is the inspiration for this, by the way.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't see it yet, so I'm kind of curious if we'll.
Did he have the ability to like change?
I didn't think so.
Individual pieces, but that's interesting. Okay.
All right.
I do love me some reptile.
Okay, so with Predatory Evolution, we get 2 adaptations instead of the 1. Again, I just think that this is where you would just add in some kind of verbiage of the distinction of what you can change.
Mm-hmm.
When shifted, you gain temporary hit points, which is the new 2024 rule sets. You gain resistance to magical bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing while you have at least 1 shift active. Are we okay with that at 6th level? I think we've talked about this before. I think that's roughly around the time that you start coming up with enemies that also have that resistance.
Friendship.
Ooh, I would say so.
Woo! Thank you, Hecate, for the 13 months. Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
You are the man. Hecate, welcome to the stream.
Apex Instinct. So, Wild Magic. Apex Instinct. Should get a spell that enhances hearing, smelling, sight. Put that roll until let's see if they transform into an uncontrollable version of the Apex Predator. So yeah, I always dig ideas like that. I wouldn't mind this kind of having that idea where they could have a trigger and they become too aggressive, right? Like it's the same thing that happened a while back where there was a thing where like when barbarians raged, it would be hard for them to come down and they would just keep on wanting to hurt. Because there's that, the thing about like as long as you're attacking,
yeah, we talked about that the other day, having like a calming phrase or like a trigger phrase or different things like that.
And I kind of miss the days where there was the idea that it wasn't just that the barbarian had to attack to stay in rage. I kind of liked the hand in hand. Yes, as long as they're attacking, they stay in rage. But I also kind of liked that as long as they're in rage, they try to attack.
Yeah.
Even if, like, not necessarily they're going to kill their allies, but like they'll swing and their allies have to like,
and just beat the devil out. That's right. That's
I like that idea. And that's where that idea of like how to calm down a rage. So I think that would be, great is, having some sort of, even with regular druids. Do you remember this might be dating me a little bit. Do you remember a long time ago, there was a weird show called Animorphs?
Yes, I remember Animorphs.
I barely remember anything about it. I remember there were like aliens, ear slugs, and transforming.
Sure.
That's about all I remember. But there was one specific aspect of the transforming that I remember taking away because I always wanted to figure out a way to put it in high point. And I think this would be a great aspect for druids, is spending too long in a form will make it feel too natural. Kind of like, I think that was the deal in that show, is if you stay too long in your form, you couldn't change out.
It might start remaining permanent.
And so I'm wondering like, how interesting that would be for a druid in general, where
I like that. I feel like it'd be very interesting because it would be akin to your character dying. Basically is like if you get to the point where you like fully transform and like can't transform back, like who knows what happens to your intelligence, who knows what happens to a lot of your other inhibitions, like you just stop being able
or you just become that hermit that just chose like, as long as I'm in this form, no one has to talk to me. Like hermits in this forest still have people that come up on them, but if I'm a bear in the forest, no one's going to come up on me. And if they attack me, well, it sucks because I have gust of wind and 9-level spell. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they probably just walk around not giving
Would you let them be able to cast in their wild shape?
Well, I mean, I'm assuming that they would, like, again, if someone kills them and force them into their human form, then they're pissed. They're just like, I was living just peacefully as a bear, and now you've pissed me off.
Oh, so you saying if they got downed, they would revert? Even if they permanently transformed or became too natural.
Maybe. I don't know how the mechanic would fully work, but I still think, like, I just imagine, because how like there was supposed to be a hierarchy of druids. Technically, there was only supposed to be one druid.
The archdruid.
Yeah. I imagine a version where it's like there's the archdruid, but there's always someone like roughly equally as powerful, but just not the one in power.
The number 2 headband.
I imagine that person is the one you would run into, and you would just run into like some old creature in the woods. Maybe you'd help it, and then it would transform, and it would be this like old, druid. But I'm imagining this druid is just like grizzled, sunburnt. There's like moss literally growing on his face.
Wild.
He almost looks Trent. He almost looks like a Trent, but he is very much a human. But I imagine that ancient druid literally living in his forest. Like his grove is just this, like to the point to where you realize you're in the middle of like, miles long forest. And he's like, no, all of this is my grove.
Sure.
I have spent so long here that my grove has inched. So what started as, a 10-foot square is now 10,000 square miles.
Where he wanders, he just continues to like grow and like attach to him.
I like that idea of I had missed the old days when players would play with their psychology more of their characters. I think that's the big triggering point between older editions and newer editions. Players don't play with the psychology of their character.
Yeah, I do. I have a hard time associating that with even though I feel like we associate it with different editions because of what those particular rule sets encourage. I would say it's more of like the player mindset and the player attitude. They want things to be
well, and it's also how the mechanics steer you. The mechanics don't steer you to benefit from that kind of gameplay. The mechanics say, hey, don't worry about whether your character would be traumatized and then seeing this person again. Guess what? If you roll a 17, you crit. So go ahead and roll.
Sure.
That's my idea. Is like it's not that it's not possible. It's just that the rules itself don't lean into giving you any benefit.
Sure.
That's realistically just making it quote unquote harder for you for the fun of it. Whereas in second edition, it was leaned into that, hey, DMs, watch out for this, as in if your characters are doing this, that's a good fucking thing. Reward them, lean into it. This is what you want. And nowadays it's like, I mean, it's not in the rules, so like I can just swing at him and just like swing at him,
and then it's fine. Yeah.
That's just kind of my thing. But yeah, fascinating. How would your healer work on anatomy of a creature that went extinct, or would healing potion dosage mean for human? Interesting. I could see a judgment for. I don't know about this particular subclass, but I could see a judgment call for unique things having difficulty with regular knowledge. Like if you want to be able to say, if you're a shapeshifter and you want to transform into some extinct or crazy creature no one's ever seen before,
sure,
it should be difficult to heal you in that form.
Yeah.
Right? Like that would totally make sense. So similar to this, right? For like a druid, if you're in that form or if you're partially shaped, maybe there would be a difficulty healing you because no one would really know how.
Okay.
So
interesting.
I like this. See, that's the kind of gameplay I like, but again, 5th edition doesn't reward it like the older editions do. And that's the problem, is it's on the players and the DM to figure out why that's fun, and no one really wants to try, in my opinion. But yeah, moving on to the other abilities. So going back to the magical resistance, are we okay with that at 6th level? We've had this conversation. I said this before. We've had this conversation before. I think we're always kind of like meh on it. 10th is too late. 6th sometimes feels a little bit too early, but there's really nothing in between that makes it feel any better. I think we've kind of come down to that decision, is we've kind of accepted that getting something like this is okay around 6. Because we've seen this before. I think we've seen
I feel like
magical resistance.
Usually what you're gaining is the ability to overcome magical resistance. Now,
yes.
Now this is a little bit different, because even barbarians, and granted, the barbarians get theirs at level 1, right?
True.
Well, not level 1, but whenever they get their subclass or whenever they get their rage, but they get resistance to bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing damage, just
while
physical while raging. But
yes,
not necessarily magical. Because
true,
I feel like,
but don't they get a magical resistance while raging at a later time?
Not base barbarians.
Oh,
some barbarian subclasses will, but not base barbarians.
What level would you say the barbarian normally gets that at?
Gets what?
The magical resistance. Those subclasses. If there's a subclass that you can think of.
So the first one that comes to my mind is the Totem Barbarian, which gives you resistance to all damage except for psychic, I think. And that is again at 3rd level when you get to subclass
straight away.
So you can get that pretty easily. So I don't think getting a resistance like this,
and it's only when you're shifted, so it's not permanent.
That I don't think that is at all a problem here.
I think that's a great way to handle it.
It's very cool. And I love that it specifically includes magical bludgeoning and piercing. Not just non-magical.
Yeah.
Now, normally when I think about the articulation of having this resistance, it specifically has to say non-magical for it to only mean non-magical. If you say you're resistant to bludgeoning, that would traditionally include magical.
So you would say that this should say you gain resistance to magical and non-magical if you wanted it.
No. It would just say you gain resistance to bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing damage, and that would imply, that it includes magical.
Oh, gotcha.
You specifically say you gain resistance to non-magical bludgeoning and piercing damage if it only applies to non-magical, because then you're specifically excluding magical.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, with the barbarian subclass being able to get it at level 3, I don't think it's that much of that problematic for this to get it waiting to level 6.
Agreed.
Especially when it's getting it's not getting its second shift till now.
Plenty of races get resistances to certain damage types. Plenty of anything that has a dragon lineage.
Oh yeah, dragon
associated with it. It's traditionally going to get a resistance out the gate. So yeah, this. I don't mind that at all.
You also, when shifted, you gain the benefit of pack tactics. Additionally, when you hit a creature while benefiting from pack tactics, you will deal bonus damage equal to your wisdom modifier.
That's very interesting.
And with pack tactics,
that's very interesting.
What is pack tactics?
Pack tactics is basically you get advantage on your target if they are adjacent to one of your allies, right? So instead of having to be directly opposite for flanking, they just have to be adjacent. They just have to be engaged with any one of your allies for you to get advantage.
Okay, and this seems like it's also standard on the Druid Wild Shape. If you Wild Shape into something with pack tactics, you also get pack tactics.
Like Direwolf. Direwolf is one of the standard creatures that gets pack tactics that you can use. So this is just, you get that period.
Yeah. Okay. I don't mind that. I think that works. And that again, that's just, I think it benefits because that only works really within melee range, right? So it's it's benefiting the druid that wouldn't normally be in that situation.
Correct.
So I don't mind that. I think it makes a very unique version of a druid and it kind of breaks the standard. And I'm expecting this thing to be a little bit more of a combat oriented druid. So
sure.
I'm fine with that. Okay. So moving to level 10, we have Primitive Awakening. If there's one thing the history of evolution has taught us, it's that life will not be contained. Life breaks free. It expands to new territories and crashes through barriers painfully, maybe even dangerously. But, well, there it is. Life finds a way. Nice little Jurassic Park, and people were already quoting Jurassic Park in the in chat when we started this. So hilarious that we actually get to see the quote come through. Let's see here. The Primal Connection is fully restored. You regain the standard Druid. You regain the standard Druid Wild Shape feature using your current Druid level for prehistoric beast forms only. When in Wild Shape, you may still benefit from one active fossil shift adaptation. So, starting at level 10, you can now assume the full form of any ancient creature, prehistoric beast, which I don't know if we have a list of that.
I don't know.
So that might be on the DM to kind of come up with some specifics.
Sure. Yeah. To look up whatever they would consider prehistoric beast or whatever they would allow for that. I know they've recently started actually coming out with like dinosaur type stuff, but there's nothing.
There's no official prehistoric beast, so it's going to be heavily homebrewed. So what do you feel like? I think that's not a terrible idea of regaining Wild Shape and taking so long. I kind of think it's good, especially when we're doing old creatures only.
I especially like that it's restricted to a certain type of creature.
I don't know how I feel about keeping the fossil shift in full Wild Shape. Like, I like it, but I'm trying to work it out in my head on whether or not it's a fully workable mechanic or if it just sounds cool.
I will say it's all going to come down to what these things look like when we start looking at them. Like mechanically, I think, or not mechanically, lore wise, like I feel like there's a way to express that, to articulate that, to make that work if that's what you want to do. I feel like you can, even one of my favorite druids that I've ever played, Venla, she had a an arm that was made out of wood, and I
you were able
loved
to
to
craft
include like that in her wild shape. So whenever she was in wild shape, her wild shape also had, you know,
but see, that's a little bit, because my biggest thing is like, I think the reason why I have a problem, because it sounds like a cool idea, right? It sounds really cool, but I think the DM, like, you know, mechanical brain is looking at it going, well, this kind of deters from the original concept, because we've talked about this before. Our staunch mindset is that your starting ability should really set the tone for the rest of the subclass, right?
Sure.
You should really understand. We like callbacks, and while this is a really cool concept to gain wild shape, that was kind of the whole purpose, is you were giving up wild shape for this ability to partial shift. So to gain wild shape, but also still be able to to like partial shift in it, it's slightly comes across as trying to have the best of all worlds. Like, you're trying to have everything.
I'm actually curious, the way you read this, do you think that in order to do that, you would have to use up multiple uses of your wild shape? Because theoretically,
Yes, you would
until
use
level 20, you don't get more than 2.
Yes, it would. It would absolutely use up you would shift. You would use 1 to fully shift, and then 1 to partial shift.
So in that case, if that's the case, would you say it's worth it if you're giving up both of your daily wild shapes to do this thing?
Mechanically, no, that's a good balance, but I don't like how it pieces together lore wise. Like, it's just a very weird roller coaster of,
Okay,
I'm giving up modern druidism for this ancient technique, but this ancient technique turns into modern druidism with a twist that we don't see. Like, there's too much of this.
Sure.
I just don't feel like it's on the track that I want it to. I kind of was totally down for this mix and match, but now a full transformation with another mix and match, it just doesn't feel like it's riding the same rails.
You know what I
as the
would
lore.
like? You know what I would like? You know how up until this point, you can only use 2 at a time, right? I would love it if, instead of giving you your full wild shape back and being able to do this, imagine if you could use your wild shape twice to basically do it 2 times.
Or
to
give yourself version, because if you go back to what I was saying, right? If one version could do arm or legs, the next version could do armor, head or tail, and then, or body or tail, and then head or extras, right? Like, I wouldn't even mind just this ability saying that you can choose one of each. I don't know. I just feel like it deters from where we were originally going with it, and now it just seems like it's getting into a, I don't want to say overcomplicated, but just overly.
I can do all the things, not all the things, but
yeah, just overly. I don't want to give anything up with this idea, but I also didn't want to give up the. It's like, I think that giving up the wild shape was brilliant. I just don't think that bringing it back and then still keeping your ability, it's just like, why the sacrifice in the first place?
Sure.
And what does that really mean in the lore? How is this prehistoric? How did the prehistoric druids learn partial shape and then wild shape, and then modern druids only know wild shape? You know what I mean? There's a weird progression of understanding. I mean, because then it could mean that partial wild shape was found to be inefficient.
Sure.
And full wild shape is superior. So then should I be playing? I don't know. It's just, I would have preferred it stay focused on its intended task instead of going this direction.
For sure.
So I like the pack tactics. I don't mind that. I really like the idea of shifting into prehistoric creatures, because that's where I was originally going with it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I like the partial shift and the prehistoric creature shift. I think those are both individually amazing ideas, but together it's kind of like the same problem that we had when we were creating the Chimera Druid and how to layer it. I just don't think this is the way that I would layer it.
Which is why I you know how like, even when we did the Chimera Druid, we eventually came up with like, hey, here's your full new form, your unique.
Yeah.
Like, I think giving it something like that, like, don't necessarily make it like the same, but like maybe get a full form that allows you to use, that like combines all these things but creates a new creature, so it doesn't look like weird and mishmash, like I got a leg of this and a leg of that, but it looks like, hey, I'm in this new form that is my own prehistoric form, and I can select however many of the options that I have to like have as those abilities in this form.
I think it's also just, I wouldn't even have minded a third shift, because again, normally you only get 2 until level 20.
Sure.
Even just adding a third shift so you could have 3 active, and again, chunk them up into blocks. But even if you didn't do that, even if you just said you could have 3 different ones active, you know, 1 arm, leg, body, whatever, all of that, even that would have made the druid feel a lot more unique, because then you could customize literally for the task at hand. Like, there's a guard on the other side of a 10-foot wall will give me the legs of a cheetah and the, you know, the arms of, you know, like, I don't know, you know, like a panther, right? So I could hop the wall super easily, but then pounce on them and immediately take them out. Like, that would make the druid so much more fun. But giving the full wild shape back just with a new list of creatures, it's like, well, why don't I just have this in the beginning? Because modern day druids can't turn into a bear with wings. You know, so why can I do that with this? Why can I turn into a velociraptor with wings? It feels like, again, we're trying to do too much here. So hopefully that makes more sense for kind of what we were thinking. Amendment, but with wings. Peregrine Fountain dives into the target with a force of a 10 million ton traveling 200 miles an hour. Yeah, that would be interesting. What if they couldn't choose when the wild shape ends at the apex predator? Interesting. So they would have to fight coming out of it, like roll to come out of wild shape. If they were like, that was like the version of
interesting.
it.
Yeah.
I could be down with that idea. I could work with that. So I like how this is packaged. This is not the direction I would have gone.
Okay.
But moving on to this. So sorry, level 10. Yes. I like the direction, just not quite. Yeah, not the direction I would have taken, but it makes sense what we're trying to do here. So,
and at level 10, that's when we finally get head and extras as well.
So I will say that as written, it's fine, just not what I would have done. I would have added a third form that can go, because that would have made you completely different than any other druid, because you get 3 versions of it. Then you would unlock everything. And I think that would have just been a lot more interesting of a build than being able to wild shape again.
Sure.
But moving on to level 14, we get Apex Fossil. Oh, hey, plants, you called it Apex. While Fossil Shift is active. Now, see, again, what's also really interesting is only while Fossil Shift, but not while Wild Shape. So you would expect that this would also work on with Wild Shape.
Interesting.
So, again, just a weird thing.
Okay.
But when Fossil Shift is active, you can add your Wisdom modifier to all your natural weapon damage rolls. You score critical hit on a 19 and 20 with unarmed strike or natural weapons. And Fossil Shift grants resistance to all damage from weapon attacks. You can use Fossil Shift an unlimited amount of times. Resistance to all damage from weapon attacks. So you can only be attacked by natural weapons. Someone can only bare bones you. So a couple of things about this one. I was actually expecting you to turn your natural weapons
to magical.
I expected that, which I'm kind of disappointed that we didn't see that, because I would have liked that.
I also would have liked that.
I don't mind the modifier to the damage roll.
That might come naturally with the druid. I can check for you.
Yes,
I think
if it already comes naturally with the druid, then it doesn't matter. But I don't mind the wisdom modifier. I don't mind the critical, because we're talking about being an apex predator. I don't mind the critical being a 19.
Sure,
that's kind of cool. I don't understand the resistance to all damage from weapon attacks.
I mean, unless it's like some hide thing, or maybe like your fossilized calcium makes your...
Well, because we already have so we already have resistance to magical attacks, right? Magical weapon attacks.
Correct.
This is basically saying that anything that's coming from a weapon,
which would include things like fire damage and poison damage and whatever, as long as it's coming from, if it's coming from a spell.
But it also means ranged. It means melee.
Yes, it just means ranged and melee.
So only spells and
I would not count like your natural claws as weapons. Like,
well, no, that's the point. It's like it's only spells and basically someone else boxing you. Basically,
yeah,
it's
boxing,
one-on-one.
biting, doing something else like that.
So yeah, I don't know about the overall resistance from all damage. I think I would definitely replace that with you do magical damage if it's not already in the druid thing. But I think that would have been. I think I would have given them magical damage instead with their naturals. I don't know about resistance to all weapon damage only, and especially only at 14. I mean, I know it goes straight to level 20 from here, but it's
I honestly think that the resistance that they already have is sufficient for this build. Like, you don't need to add another layer. I do like this. I like the idea of weapon damage specifically rather than just all of a certain type of damage, you know?
And being an apex predator, why isn't it? Why aren't your natural weapons now magical? Like, that should absolutely be the apex predator aspect, is you can take on magical creatures now. So that would be my shift here, is I would just change this out to your natural weapons count as magical.
Yeah, and I'm not even gonna lie, I almost feel like that would be better earlier.
Right? Like at level 10. I mean, I expected it at level 10.
Sure.
I would have much preferred that at level 10. And the shift in limited times, I mean, right now we can only do 2. So that's definitely earlier. But the thing is, this is only fossil shift, not wild shape. So that means I can wild shape twice, but that also means I can have any number of shifts in my wild shape. You know what I mean? Like, so
and theoretically, I don't have to use my wild shape. I can just shift a bunch, and I can be shifted almost 24/7 now.
Yeah.
Like, I can be in shift mode. I can have at least 2 of these things active at all times, which is dope and I think is great.
But it's unlimited now, so you can literally
that's what I mean by at all times.
Body.
Like, I can have my arms or my legs transformed at all times.
But is it you still only get to do 2 transformations, you think?
Theoretically, yeah. There's no
2 adaptations. You just get to change them.
I can change them as often as I want, or I can keep them going for an infinite number of times. Because traditionally, you only get, like, the way your traditional wild shape works is you only get to do it a number of hours equal to, I think it's like half your druid level or something like that.
Right.
So, like, if it's half your druid level, like at this point, you would only be able to do it for 7 hours, right? Yeah. Now, whole 8 hours, 24 hours, who knows however many hours, it's how long I can keep these pieces up.
So yeah, I definitely would switch this to magical damage, and I kind of agree. I wouldn't mind seeing that earlier, early on. Like, even at level 10, just moving this up to level 10 and then having these 2 here and this one would be fine.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe just do that. Or take this, turn it into magical damage, move that to level 10, and then just move these 2 and this one as the 3 things you get.
Yeah, I love being able to use your shift a number of times. I love the addition of your wisdom modifier. Now, my question would be, it does say addition, so you would normally have your strength modifier or your dex modifier, depending on whatever it is that you're doing. So, well, specifically for your natural weapon, so it's usually going to be your strength modifier. So if that's the case, do I get my strength modifier and my wisdom modifier?
I think this is intending to replace it. I think it's meant to be your wisdom instead of your strength.
Okay.
That's my interpretation.
I do know a lot of, like, spells and other things that'll do that. Like, Shillelagh allows, like, druids to basically use their wisdom modifier for both attacks and damage, which is dope, which is kind of what this feels like. But they usually have verbiage in there that says it fully replaces. That's the only reason why this feels like this is stacking.
Wisdom with strength, or wisdom with strength or dex. Okay, so it's actually additive.
Okay. Yeah.
Plant, that's an obnoxious build. Stop it. That sounds all kind of busted. Okay, so that would be what I called there. And then we get Nature's Perfect Predator. So this is a 20th level spell, which druids don't normally get. The subclasses normally end.
Yes, they traditionally do not get this because they already get Arc Druid.
All right, so you are no longer just a druid channeling ancient beast. You're a living fossil, legend, and apex predator beyond time. When you use your fossil shift ability, all your natural weapons are considered magical and deal additional damage die of their type. Way too late for that. Like at level 20, the campaign's over.
Yeah.
Like we're basically like at this point, I'm fighting gods now. Like I'm past fighting magical creatures. Like I feel like that's way too late. You are permanently under the effect of freedom of movement. Nothing can restrain or hinder your movement, magical or mundane.
That is cool.
That's very interesting.
That is cool.
That one I don't mind.
I don't mind that at all.
Don't mind that one for a 20th level feature. I definitely think this needed to come way
sooner.
up.
Yeah,
this one needed to happen at level 10, right? Like that needs to happen at level 10. Honestly, what should happen? Move this to level 10. Move this to level 20.
Okay. Sure.
That makes way more logical sense on the lore wise that at level 20,
absolutely,
weapons don't touch me. Absolutely. I am a master of prehistoric ages. I had sticks and stones, bitch. Absolutely. Fuck off. You need to come at me with fists and claws and teeth.
Okay.
That absolutely, yes, that freedom of movement spell is that is really, really cool. So I would say, yeah. So move this to level 10, move this to level 20. And personally, I would get rid of the wild shape. Just getting wild shape back. I think that's a better idea. I think it's a great idea. I just think that that's a better idea for a different class. I think there should be two different types of, prehistoric druids. This one and one that can shift fully.
I honestly think getting unlimited uses of your fossil shift solves the problem.
Yes.
Solves the need for having a regular wild shape.
Yes, you don't need a wild shape if I could just cover head, body, legs, tail. If I can do all of that, I don't need a full shape.
And you know what I would fucking love to see? You know what I would fucking love to see? What I would think would be cool as shit. Because right now, theoretically, the way your fossil shift works is it works like a wild shape, which requires your full action. I would love to see an opportunity for you to get this to move it as a bonus action, so you could do it mid-turn or as a reaction of some sort, right? So you can do these shifts with your body so dynamically in the middle of combat. You are a force to be reckoned with. That I think would be way cool. You could do that either 14 or 20 for this, and it still would feel like it works and it still makes sense. And then when you finally get down here to 20th level and nobody can touch you because you have freedom of movement and you have
no
all
weapon.
this.
And again, if you had this, no weapons can touch you.
Oh my god,
no one
that
can
would
stop
feel
you.
like I'm a 20th level.
Yes. That's where I'm thinking. This has all the makings of that perfect 20 capstone. It's just a thing in the wrong order.
Sure.
But all the pieces are here, right?
I love it. Yeah.
So let's look at some of the ideas that we had for the shift. So as an action, you can erupt your prehistoric energy, taking on terrifying hybrid form. An amalgamation of all your fossil ships combined. For 1 minute, you gain the following benefits. So this is a 9th level spell or once per long rest, or at a cost for the 9th level spell. So this is at level 20, you get this.
So I had to reword that a little bit. I think what the intent was, and correct me if I'm wrong, Soul, but it was you get to do this once per long rest for free. And if you want to do it again, you can cost a 9th level spell.
But at level 20, you get this. So you get for 1 minute, you get the following benefits. You can use 3 fossil shifts at once, regardless of your previous limits. I wouldn't have minded those 3 coming at level 14. Like getting the third one at level 14 or at level 10 instead of the full wild shape.
Oh, got you.
Patek applies to all attack rolls and allies, and your movement speed increases by 30. That's insane. When you reduce a creature to 0 hit points, you may immediately make another attack or move up to your full speed as a free action. I like the other attack and maybe a leap.
0 hit points, you can immediately.
I don't know about, because you're basically saying that now that if I kill someone, I can move 60 feet. I would much prefer that to be like a leap of like 15, 20 feet. But that's the idea, is you can just keep leaping to enemies if you're taking them down one by one. Like you can always leap and attack one more time if you take someone to 0.
Sure.
But moving your whole movement at 60 feet, that's
I would I would be okay with it if it had the restriction of you can only move as quickly as you can to the nearest target, right? Because then you're just limited to doing that one thing. Even if they're 60 feet away, I get
nearest target. Yeah, no, I like that. Yeah,
but you're not just freely moving 60 feet wherever you want to go.
So you can immediately make another attack or move up to your full speed towards.
Oh, it's or.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying is like that's why I just don't like it as your whole thing. So I like your idea of you can either attack or move towards the nearest enemy.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter which one. It's if you can't attack, then you do.
Sure.
And if you can move, you do.
Sure.
I think that makes like way more. Yeah. So if the leap, we would just add in that this doesn't make opportunity attack. Like you can just put in that verbiage that this
this does not provoke opportunity attacks.
Yeah.
Sure.
So you gain resistance to all forms of damage except force and psychic. Okay. That kind of makes sense for prehistoric.
Sure.
And then choose one damage type: bludgeoning, slashing, piercing, cold, or fire. You become immune to that damage type for the duration.
Okay.
I don't mind all of that. I would, I just, it's this part. I would just change the verbiage of this because I think the nearest enemy is the way to go. The rest of this is great.
I think this is a great one-time or couple-time use big versions. I think this for me replaces the need for any sort of regular wild shape.
Absolutely. Like this 100% is your capstone.
Like I would imagine like you're fully changing your form at this point. You're changing both your arms, your legs, your head, maybe giving yourself a tail, like whatever the case may be, and now you're in this new body, this wild shape that you've built for yourself, and you can do all of these awesome things for 1 minute, and you can do that once. Unless you want to spend a 9th level spell slot.
For level 20, I think that's great.
Heck yes.
Okay, so let's look at these fossil shifts. So at 3rd level, we get arms and legs. So we can get something like Velociraptor Claws. Unarmed strike dealing 1d8 slashing. You can make an extra claw attack as a bonus action. A bonus action.
Wild. Love it.
You're handling business. Business.
Yeah, business.
Allosaurus Grasp. On hit with an unarmed strike, target must make a strength saving throw or be grappled. DC is 8 plus proficiency plus wisdom. Cantor's Charge. After moving 20 feet straight forward towards a creature, you can make a horn headbutt. Dealing. Why is that in arms? That should have been in head. Interesting. But doing 1d8 piercing as a bonus action.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that should.
The last one, you may cleave through 2 adjacent creatures with a single claw attack. I mean, I always like cleave. Cleave's always great.
Sure. Yep.
Legs, you can get either 15, and you can use a dash action as a bonus action. You get a slam attack as a bonus action after moving 10 feet past an enemy. You can use the shove action without provoking opportunity attack. You can jump distance. Your jump distance is tripled. You can land without suffering from fall damage from 20 feet or less. It's not bad. Pounce, if you move 20 feet and hit creatures with a claw attack, it must make a dex save or be knocked prone. And agility, your opportunity attack against you have disadvantage. You ignore difficult terrain. See, these are all great ideas, but to be completely honest, this is a lot. Like for me to be like, oh man, we have difficult terrain, but man, if I make this thing prone, that's the game. Like that's, and then that's still, but then I can triple my jump speed and then not fall. Like that sounds more like it's non-combative. That sounds more like role play. As a bonus action, move 10 feet past an enemy, then I can like, it's a lot. Like there's so much I can do. And while they all feel unique, I feel like there's just too much going on here.
I very much agree. I think this would do better with 2 or 3 in each category and have those 2 or 3 things be slightly more impactful, right? Especially at level 3, you only get to choose one of these out of all of them. And I
agree with you wholly. Like right now, like this one stands out as an amazing option. Love that.
Sure.
15 extra feet of movement and you can use a dash action.
As a bonus action, yeah.
Done. That one would be great. This one I like. Opportunity attacks of disadvantage and you ignore difficult terrain. Perfect.
I like
great.
That. Super
easy,
simple.
Understandable, so I can either move fast and use an extra dash if I want to be like a rogue, or I can overcome this difficult terrain and I need to be moving around with my other abilities. I could give up the other 3. Like, honestly, bonus action for moving past an enemy and shoving them, don't care about it, honestly. Jump distance is tripled, and you can land without suffering fall damage. I really do like that one. I just think that there are other ways it could be done that this isn't necessary, but I don't mind that. If you're going to keep 3, that would be the one I keep.
That would be the
that
3,
one
and I would also, I would increase that fall damage length. Like, I would make it like 30 or 50 feet.
Yes, 100%.
Right? Like, that would feel... Now, again, it is at level 3, but still, like, I don't think that's too crazy because that's not something that you get a lot. You're not going to have stupid number of opportunities to use that. You might be able to jump down on somebody from further than you'd be able to otherwise, and that'd be dope.
Yeah.
But
so I would get rid of Pounce and Slam to make those, like, to clear cut those. I mean, the claws is pretty easy, a D8. That's fine.
That plus the fact you can make one as a bonus action, like, that is cool.
That's great. I love that. Great. The Cleave, I think, is another great one.
I would agree.
And honestly, I can get rid of these 2. Like, I don't really think it matters.
I'm kind of okay with the grappled one. I like on an unarmed strike, especially depending on what you consider an unarmed strike, being able to just like automatically grapple some, or not automatically, like they have to make a save or be grappled. Like, I think there could be an argument for like that would be really useful. So if I had those 6 to mess with at level 3,
and it really, it would be a lot cleaner.
Sure.
They all feel they're quick and easy. Speed boost, opportunity attacks, and no movement issues. Or I'd be able to land without, like, those are very 3 clear cut ish different situations.
Sure.
That I would know which one I'm handling. I would have to read through.
Now,
right?
Remind me, when you use these shifts, do you get that temporary hit points every time you use these shifts?
How did that work?
Oh, your hit die is increased, but
temporary. When shifted, you gain temporary HP equal to your druid level. So only while shifted.
So that's only once you get to level 6, though. So right now you don't have that.
Yeah, and it's only while shifted. So it's not like every time you shift, you add more. It's just while shifted.
No, yeah. But that's kind of. So yeah, I'm trying to think of everything that you're giving up when it comes to wild shape, and this is what you're getting from it.
Yeah.
Or at the very beginning, like, how's it going to feel?
And that's why I don't mind that. That's why 6 options is phenomenal.
6 options,
and they cover so big of a range that those 6 options would be easier to read. I think they'd cover exactly what you want to be able to cover without making it too messy.
Only getting one of those in trade for everything that you get with wild shape, because when it comes to wild shape, you get their senses, you get any abilities that they have, you get any attacks that they have. You traditionally at 2014 rules, you get their HP, you get their AC. So like doing something like this, like I feel like it would be nice to have some more static things attached to this, things that you don't choose, things that you just get. Like, again, I would say start the HP pool sooner, so it feels like you're getting a little bit more survivability in this state. I would even say maybe a small AC boost, but that could possibly wait till later.
I mean, another way to do this, it would be a lot more complicated and require a rework, but you could also categorize these to where it's not a full wild shape, but you take on aspects of certain creatures and you just partial. So like the aspect of a velociraptor would give you the claws and say like an increase to like your movement, right? So it's like you could like just pair certain ones. So you're like, I'm not going to fully wild shape into this, but I'm going to use the aspect of the velociraptor.
Sure.
To gain the 15 speed of movement and dash and the extra claw attack. But if I want to be able to land, I'll choose the leaper, which will give me, the landing safely and a bigger jump. But that will come with the cleave option.
Sure.
Like
I'm
if
not
you
gonna
pair
lie,
them up, that may be also easier.
I do feel like that would make, even at level 3, being able to choose one from each of those.
Yeah.
I think at level 3, that would make this feel way better and way better of a trade for wild shape.
And then definitely have to cut it down to 3 options each then. But one of each, right? Instead of having all these, go down to the 3 options, but then being I want these arms and these legs as my first shift. Then the second shift, you'd get, I want that body and that tail. right? The second shift would get 2 other aspects. Getting 2 aspects every time you shift. Actually,
I want to go through these to see how chunky they are.
okay, so for body at level 6, we can get a +2 to AC while shifted. Pretty standard. Sure. I like that. Gain resistance to non-magical bludgeoning, slashing, piercing while shifted.
You already get that?
No, remember, we only got it to magical. So this specifically to get non-magical.
So
So the other one's only to magical, but regular weapons would still hurt.
So weird. That's I genuinely never would have thought that. Like,
that's how they
because
split it up.
You know how when we talk about resistances, you have immunity, then you have resistance, then you have normal, then you have vulnerable.
Yeah.
Like, it just goes in a tier list. That's how I looked at Magic. Magic was just higher on the tier list.
That's what I always thought.
The idea that you could be resistant to one and not the other.
It should be swapped. This should be gaining to magical. The standard should be non-magical.
Yes. Like, if we're going to do that.
Especially when you're thinking about a prehistoric creature, woolly mammoth, you couldn't cut a woolly mammoth with fucking stone knife, right?
Sure.
That's the ideology. So the standard should have been they become resistant or immune to the non-magical. This should have only allowed, the magical should only be allowed when shifted. I think that makes more sense.
Very much so.
So just swap those would be fine. You also get, when you take melee damage, you can reduce it by your wisdom modifier plus your proficiency bonus.
You take melee damage. Okay.
Which is interesting because you already can only take melee damage at a certain level. So this would just feed into that.
What do you mean?
Like at level 20, remember, you can't be attacked by weapons. Or at level 14. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, what did they say? You have resistance to that damage type or whatever.
Yeah.
So they would just do even less damage. Specifically, weapons would, but this is just all damage. Oh, this is specifically melee damage.
Yeah, just the melee damage.
So this would, because like we were talking about, the weapon damage wouldn't include like my fist or a claw or a bite because it's not a weapon.
Yeah.
Right. But this would include that because it's theoretically still melee damage. So there's a little bit of dance in there, but I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm. So we also have one for stamina. You count as one size larger for grapple, shoves, and carrying capacity. It only, I mean,
I wouldn't use it.
I wouldn't either.
I wouldn't use it.
Because again, you're only going to get that.
Especially at level 6.
Well, and then when are you going to know that that's the thing that you need to fight against? You know what I mean?
Unless like in the middle of combat, there's a creature that's like all about grappling you. But only counting as one size larger. The problem with that is most things that have the ability to grapple can grapple up to one size larger than themselves. Yeah. So unless the thing is smaller than me, already smaller than me, then it's not going to do me any good.
True. This next one at the same time, I don't know as much. When a creature hits you with melee attack, it takes piercing damage equal to your wisdom modifier. I just take the 2 AC. Honestly, I'd rather take the +2 to AC than what maybe 5 extra damage when they melee attack me.
Yeah,
I think I'd much rather take the chance at not getting hit overall than worry about dealing 5 extra damage. At least later in the game. Like early on, that may be nice, but later in the game, I'm probably never using that.
Honestly, I would, because I do have to take the damage in order to deal the damage.
I'd rather try to stop the damage in the first place.
Yeah, I think, especially for that little damage. Like if it were something like, you know, half my level plus, you know, maybe it would be worth it, you know, but as just wisdom modifier, because you gotta think even at really high levels, you're gonna get what, 6? Like 6th level, that's really,
it's not not worth it for a full change. Again, the 2 AC with other things,
huge.
Yeah, huge. Way better.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 10% of a better chance at
not getting hit.
Not getting hit. Yeah. Okay, so and then we get tail. Make a melee weapon attack, reach of 10 feet, like the 10 feet. 1d10 piercing. Target must make a dexterity saving throw or be knocked prone. That sounds pretty standard, actually. Like that sounds pretty on par with what I would like a tail attack to be.
Okay.
We have another club attack, a melee attack, reach of 10. 2d6 bludgeoning. Target must make a dex saving throw or be pushed 10 feet. Okay.
Knocked prone, get one pushed.
I'd rather do the prone than the push, usually.
Depending on what's happening, I would say prone is more useful in more situations, but push can be very useful depending on whether you're by cliffs, whether positioning matters, whether getting somebody adjacent to somebody else is valuable, moving you away from being adjacent to somebody else so that they don't provoke opportunity attacks anymore. So there's some potential strategic benefits from moving versus prone, but like to just destroy enemies when you're prone, you get having everybody get advantage on them. Yeah, that's the business.
We also have a lash attack, melee attack with a reach of 15, only 1d6 slashing damage. So the idea that you have to use a shift to get into this to then use the I probably wouldn't use that. I'd definitely continue doing the 1d10 or the 2d6 pushing or dropping. And then the last one, you gain advantage to resist being shoved or knocked prone.
For that, the lash one, I'd probably add you pull the target, especially since you can do it from 15 feet away. Pull the target up to 10 feet closer. That would make that one feel better. Kind of like Thorn Whip or whatever. But for the advantage, shoved or prone.
Actually, and that would go with it, right? Prone, push, and pull. Those would have been the three that you would easily want to do.
And again, I don't know why is it so much less damage. Because the first one's a D10.
Because it's an extra 5 feet of distance, so you're getting an extra. Yeah, okay. I don't know. I think I definitely like the idea of the doing a push, a prone push pull would have been nice.
Weirdly enough, I really like the idea of the advantage on those particular things,
like not being able to be,
and like prone. The counterbalance is a great way to articulate that. Like I love the way that one feels.
I like that. I don't know. I mean. Because normally, is there a throw to be knocked prone, or is it just that whenever being knocked prone, whatever's initiating it has advantage or disadvantage?
So generally speaking, a lot of the times, like you'll see in the other things, you'll have to make some sort of save in order to be knocked prone.
Okay, so you're just getting an advantage on whatever save is causing you to be knocked prone. Okay.
Yes. There may, depending on your DM, there may or may not be like a contested check, like for grappling when you want to shove, because you can make a grapple check or shove check. And that shove check might be contested, or it might be a roll to hit, or it might be a saving throw. So,
gotcha. Okay. And moving on to the head. Okay, we have head and extras. So for the head, amid a resonating roar, enemies within 10 feet must make a con save or have a disadvantage on attack rolls until your next turn. I'm surprised it's only 10 feet. I really would have expected that to be further, especially with how more
level
powerful.
10. I would say 15 at least.
I would say 30. I mean,
yeah. I mean. Is that crazy? No, that's not too crazy.
I don't think so. It's not too crazy. Not just giving like disadvantage on an audible attack. That's fine.
No, it's on every enemy they can hear you. They give disadvantage on all of their attacks until the end of my. That's not too crazy. Like that's a lot. That's pretty intense. But it is level 10, and barbarians get something akin to that, like at level 2 or 3 when they get their reckless attack. They get to have advantage on all of their attacks, but all attacks against them have advantage as well. So like that's their little trade-off. But like for something like this at level 10, being able to say, hey, I have where are we at? Which one was it? The you get everybody has disadvantage against you, like that. That's not.
I wouldn't even mind going one step further because you're prehistoric. I would go one step further. Anyone within 30 feet of you has disadvantage on their next attack roll,
including allies.
Just period.
That might be a good way to balance it out. So it's like, hey, either if your allies are in the way, maybe if you can. I mean, this is shift, but it is your head. I'm actually curious how you would, if they're shifting their head, how would you mess with their speech or their ability to communicate with their allies?
Don't see. 5th edition doesn't care. 2nd edition would. So high point it would matter. I don't think 5th edition gives a shit.
I mean, theoretically, they care in the sense that, like, in your wild shape, you can't cast spells. You can't
unless you could otherwise. Unless the shape itself, like if you were a monkey, you can do the somatical components.
You can do somatical components, but again, even in 2014, that wasn't the case. It just wild shape, no spells.
Period. Oh, really? I thought it was specifically based on the type of creature that you were.
That they updated that in the most recent set of rules to work that way. honestly, I think there's room to play with that. I haven't decided exactly how I want to do that in the Cineverse, but
Yeah.
still.
We had a comment too about the lash attack from before, the melee weapon attack that's 15 reach and a d6.
Oh yeah.
So the question was whether or not that could be used as a reaction for something like a stealth attack. And while I don't know if I would see that as being able to, I mean, you possibly could justify it with a stealth attack, especially if you were a druid.
Are we talking about the druid being stealthy?
Well, like if you had a druid rogue multiclass
Sure.
with this, maybe you could use that as your sneak attack and do like a stealth attack. But that gave me more of the idea of, I would actually say that if you have that out, right? If you have this lash ability out that you can go 15, I would say the only reason to have that is so you can have 15 feet of opportunity attack.
Oh,
because if you have that tail out and you
Yep.
haven't used it yet, I absolutely think that any creature within 15 feet of you that moves.
To be honest, I think that that's implied, and I would say that's the case for all of those attacks with reach.
Yeah, with 10 and 15.
Yeah.
So that really is this one. The benefit of this one is if you want to be more like a sentinel player, where at distance you're just stopping everybody from getting away from you. So that could be the benefit of the 15-foot tail, is really making sure you get those opportunity attacks to stop them in their tracks. Where were we? Sneak attack once per turn, not once per round. I mean, you can potentially get sneak attack on your turn than everyone else. Oh, interesting. Yeah, 5th edition's weird on how it does everything.
It's interesting.
Okay, so the next head we're looking at, gain a +2 AC against opportunity attacks. Your unarmed strikes deal a 1d8 piercing as you gore the enemy. Okay, so there's just two different things. So you do one, so unarmed strikes do, I'm assuming, an additional 1d8 piercing, but you also get a +2 AC against opportunity attacks.
+2 AC against opportunity attacks.
That one's a little clunky for me. I think I would rather just have like advantage on opportunity against opportunity attacks or something, or like impose disadvantage would be a little bit easier.
I'm having a hard time understanding why just regular unarmed strikes. Oh, as you gore the enemy. So is that
it's like they're horns? So I'm assuming that it's.
that could be articulated better, because that makes it feel like if I punch you, you're going to take an extra 1d8 because it's an unarmed strike. You know, it's only when you specifically do a gore attack. So I would articulate it kind of like the other ones above, where it's like, hey, you get this attack that is a gore attack.
Gotcha.
That does this kind of damage.
Yeah, that should just be like just a different wording there. Okay. The next one, as a reaction, impose disadvantage on a single attack against you once per shift.
Once per shift. That's way too infrequent.
And so every time you shift. So every time you've used an iteration of your shift, then you can use it again. So you have to shift in order to use it.
Like, imagine now, I don't know if at this point you get the unlimited yet. I don't think you do.
No, but yeah, that's only once per time you get into this shift. So yeah, you'd only be able to use that. You have to shift
once
out and then
per
shift
combat,
back.
like,
or shift out and shift back.
Yeah, but then you're done shifting for the day.
Unless you're 20. Yeah. I wouldn't I wouldn't even mind that. Like, maybe per turn. Like, I mean, one attack per turn.
I wouldn't mind that. You know,
that's not that bad, especially level 10.
And
one
especially
attack,
because it takes up your reaction. You can't do other things with it.
Yeah,
you know?
As a reaction, I would totally find that just every turn.
I think that's kind of a cool mechanic, just being able to do that. Like, I don't see the need to,
especially because at this point, at level 10, you know how many creatures have multi-attack?
Oh yeah,
yeah. You're only going to get one block. Yeah,
and it's just disadvantage. It's not like a guaranteed non-hit.
Yeah, I would just say that's just what that gives you, is just you can just do that. The next one, you gain dark vision up to 60 feet or plus 30 if you already have dark vision.
Okay.
Yeah. I might extend that range, but I mean 60 feet is pretty standard, I guess, for dark vision. I think that's kind of the standard. So
yeah.
All right, and the last one, you can't be surprised while shifted. You gain a +2 to initiative rules.
Okay.
I would have liked that in the build, not as part of one of the things I had to choose. I would
Like
have liked
maybe
that
add
as
it
a,
to like the level 20 thing or
or
something
level
like
10.
that.
Like, remember how we were saying like level 10, get rid of the wild shape and what we would add to it? Add that as just a base to your level 10. Just you can no longer be surprised, and you get a +2 to
While
initiative.
you are shifted.
Just while shifted. Just that should just be a base 10 level ability, not part of this shift. Just any shift should have that.
Interesting. Then if that's the case, once you get unlimited shifts, you can just basically have that up all the time.
And I don't see why not. Like,
I mean, there's theoretically a feat that says you just can't be surprised full stop while you're conscious.
yeah.
So this is, not too crazy.
So yeah, that would be my decision for that one, is just move that over to a solid like 10 stack or your 10th level ability. All right, so here's now the extras. These are the last things that we got to go over before we give this a rating. So we have wings. You gain a flight speed of 30. You must be wearing light or no armor and have both arms free. I do appreciate that limitation.
Yep.
Now,
when this is free, does that mean you can't be holding anything in your hands?
Yes, you have. Yeah, both arms are free, meaning you cannot be. I'm assuming that means like wavering arms. You're gonna go like you're flapping. So you're not carrying a weapon, you're not carrying your lantern, you're not holding on to somebody. You're doing all the work, and that's what this is all about. Which I am down.
Would
for.
you allow them to have that and transform their hands into claws and still use their claws as attacks?
Yeah,
because
I would 100% allow that. Just no weapons.
If I can't attack while having these wings, then the wings are going to go down significantly.
Unless the feet, because you can transform your feet, and the feet can do attacks too. But I would 100% think that there are plenty of creatures that have claws on the end of their wings and would fight with those.
I agree.
I do not see that there's any reason why that would not be, especially for prehistoric creatures.
Yeah.
100% prehistoric creatures should be allowed.
Okay.
Let's see here. So we have a glider. Interesting. So we have wings, but the glider is while falling, you can glide up to 60 feet horizontally and take no damage. Why is that different than the wings? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
maybe it doesn't have any of the restrictions that the other one does.
More like a squirrel. That one's more like a squirrel suit than it is wings.
Lightweight. So you can have stuff in your hands. You don't have any restrictions when it comes to armor. Although I feel like that's kind of weird. Well, I guess that kind of makes sense because you're just gliding, even if you're heavy.
Okay.
You can still become aerodynamic.
Yeah, I can see. I can see the benefit of that. Again, it's just adding so many options to every nuance. And again, we've talked about this before. It feels like it's trying to solve every situation that you can come across.
Yeah.
I had flying. I didn't need to also have I don't want to throw away my sword or this lantern or this rope, but I got to get down. And I can't jump. It's too. It's just like you're solving every two.
I will say, like with the original one, the way I was thinking about it, I was already thinking, I'm never going to choose this. I'm never going to choose this because I won't be able to unless I have to like have fly for some reason because I need to go up.
Yeah,
like, I'm just never going to use this.
At least
if I can, true. But like, if I'm really going to be spending a wild shape to use this, like I wanted to have it for like you get so few of them. That's
true. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. So with flippers, you can get a swim speed equal to double your walking speed and the ability to hold your breath for an hour.
That's cool.
Not terrible. I'm actually surprised we didn't get one that gave you gills to breathe underwater at some point.
That's fair.
But I do like to be able to hold your breath. You should be able to maintain concentration spells because you're not shifting and you're not taking on their feet. Because normally in wild shape, you take on the attributes of the creature and you can't do spells and stuff. I don't think wild shape stops concentration normally.
No, wild shape does not stop concentration.
But it doesn't allow you to take up anymore.
Yes.
So I would say that that the shift does not affect concentration, nor does the fossil shift affect spellcasting at
all. Unless you want to say shifting their arms affects
if you're in
somatic
wings,
components.
If you're in wings, then I could absolutely understand that.
What about,
if you're using wings, then you wouldn't be able to do spells.
What about any of the claws? You don't really have the same digits that you had before. Would that be necessary? Theoretically, people say if you're carrying weapons, you cannot perform the somatic components unless you have specifically the Warcaster.
Yeah, and I agree with that too. I do agree that. So yeah, it's a little bit weird. It's very difficult, right? Because Druid magic and shifting makes it more natural. It's not like a bread. You know what I mean? It's like it is still their bodies. So I could see the argument for both sides.
Sure.
I definitely think that the wings make more logical sense. The claws, I can see an argument for, but I do give druids a slight more of a pass because it's still their own body.
Yes.
It's not like a wizard polymorph themselves and they're still trying to do what comes natural. That is natural as far as the druid's concerned. When they have claws, those claws aren't foreign to them. They don't have to learn how to use them.
Yeah.
They are as natural to their extension of their body as their 5-finger digits. Now, if one wants to make the argument that all spells were made for the purpose of human wizards, then if you say that I can't cast these spells in claws because the claws can't make the components, well, you know how many non-magic casting races you've now excluded?
Sure.
Any race that does not have 5 digits. If a kobold has 4 digits, no more magic casting kobolds. Period. End of story. Oh, did that wizard lose a finger? I'm sorry, you've lost all your magic casting ability.
Sure.
Like, you literally would take away the ability from anything that would normally be able to learn it. Because I think of magic.
I was thinking more along the lines of just like the dexterity of like, because you know how like something with paws doesn't necessarily have like opposable thumbs.
And I totally
deal.
get that. That's why I think that normally I would totally understand that because it's a dexterous issue. But with druids, I think I would give a pass because, again, to their brain, it's as natural as anything else. And if you would assume that a wizard could have a fucked up hand and learn around it, I think that the druid would just know how to do their magic. Plus, I will also say, even in High Point, druids and wizards use different magic.
Plants missed the answer to your question about concentration because they hadn't.
Oh, so I don't think so because while Wild Shape does have an issue, or even normal Wild Shape doesn't stop concentration, it only stops spell casting. So I don't think that Wild Shift at all would mess with spell casting at all. We were just debating on whether or not, like, going into wings would probably, simply because it does state you can't have anything in your hands.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that means that your hands become non-somatically compatible.
Functional. Sure.
Whereas everything else about, like, you know, changing the head, you could make the argument that you can't verbalize the somatical components, but again, it doesn't state that you're fully taking on everything. It's just a shift. You're just shifting enough to get the benefit from it, but not actually become it.
Sure.
And then I was making the debate where things like claws, I think that normally, yes, if someone turned into something and changed their physiology, they would lose their natural ability to spellcast, right? Like a wizard polymorphing. But with the druid, they don't cast the same types of spells always. Like, I don't necessarily always think that they're the exact same.
Sure.
And a druid, as far as I'm concerned, if a non-humanoid race can cast magic with non-humanoid hands, then a druid whose claw hand is as natural to them as their regular hand overcomes that.
I'm not gonna lie. Now that we're sitting here thinking about it, talking about it, just in general, it feels to me like, again, druid magic and wizard magic are very different things.
Yes.
Right. And so when it comes to being a druid, I feel like a lot of the druidic magic would not necessarily be out of sync with what creatures would be functionally able to do.
I think it's just more
saying?
ingrained, right? Like, I absolutely agree that it's just the type of magic they do should. Yeah, I don't think these shifts would change it.
Sure.
I'm even confused. I'm even like on the fence on Wild Shape magic. I actually have to do some research and go back into 2nd edition to see what they used to do, because
Interesting.
I do believe there used to be ways around it.
And I will say,
not by standard. I think there were just ways that you could work around it.
I was saying earlier, the trade that we are making for getting rid of Wild Shape completely and being able to, like, say, this is what I get in place of it. I would say the ability to have these add-ons here while maintaining the ability to cast spells is huge, because usually half the time druids can't cast their spells.
Because they're always
whenever they're in their wild shape, there's no spells available to you.
Its spellcasting ability miles ahead.
That makes a world of difference for a lot of things. So I think that is just another point to say, okay, this helps value-wise what we're actually getting to see here.
Yeah, I agree with that one. All right, we only have a couple more to go. So we just did the swim speed. So we have another option, which is gain advantage on ability checks to resist currents, grapples, or effects that would move you in water. I think this is super situational. This is one of those highlights where, unfortunately, this is one of those things that stands out to me as I'm trying to solve everything.
Sure.
And it's just like, look, I get it. but it's almost like we need a series of subclasses where it's like nautical prehistoric. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
there really needs to be separate druids for this. I just think that we're trying to solve too many things. The prehistoric concept has been, there's so many great bullet points that we've hit with this prehistoric concept, but there's too many bullet points in this presentation.
Sure.
If that's what makes sense. They're all great bullet points. They all build towards something, but we need to cut a lot of this out because I feel like we're no longer focusing on what this was about. And we're just trying to say, if I could be any prehistoric creature, what benefit could I get from it? And it's just too much.
Sure.
That's my only issue with this is I just feel like,
and genuinely, I feel like, honestly, if somebody wants to do something like super specific, work with your DM, talk with your DM, say, hey, I know that this is what this thing says, but can I do this other thing instead? Blah, 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 whatever. Can I replace this with, like, go that direction? Because all of this stuff that we're building and creating is really good. It's really great. But when you look at what you want to make available to somebody standard across the board, like we've been talking about, giving too much can feel overwhelming.
Yeah.
And people might not even realize it when they're looking at it and picking it. They'll like look at this and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to try this. And then they never use half of it because they forget the majority of it exists because they're so focused on like the standard things that they've been using.
Yeah,
like,
you're going to find some favorites and then that's all you're going to
find some early favorites and then you're just going to stick with it and you're going to rock it. And then the time will come where you could have used something else. And you're like, oh, I totally should have had that other thing equipped, but I didn't have it equipped because I was using the one I always use.
But if there was easier examples, right? If you were looking at the lakes and you're like, I can either go faster and dash, I can jump and not take damage, or I can, I forget what the other thing was, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, if you really just broke it down into super simple, concrete, these are the situations you're going to use this and make less choices, it's going to be a lot quicker for people to, not only easier for them to remember it all, but a lot quicker for them to reference it and go, that's what I need to do right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving on, we have 4 more. So, as an action, you can spit venom at a creature within 30 feet. The target must make a dexterity saving throw or be blinded until the end of its next turn. You can do this once per shift. Again, not enough.
You know what? I'm so serious. Bring back the roll of a 5 or a 6. Like, we don't use it enough for PCs or whatever.
We never use it for PCs. That's totally
never. Like, so like I get not wanting to have you do this specific one every single round, but once per shift is just not enough. It's like because that's basically saying shift into this, do it, and if it doesn't work, shift out. Or once you've done it, shift away. Like, yeah. I'm only going to use this gland just to do this once. It's a waste of a shift unless it's 20th level. And again, what am I trying to, like, why am I being able to blind someone now? It's just, before we were talking about shifting limbs and now I can blind someone. It's just too much. I'm doing too much with the fact that I have access to everything prehistoric. You know what I mean? It's just, I mean, I get wanting to blind. I think just being able to blind them. Yeah. I don't know if I would go that route, Now
we get another one. You gain blind sight out to 30 feet.
Blindsight is cool. I love blindsight.
See, that makes sense for a random one where someone shuts out the lights and you're just like, oh, shift. I'm good.
Sure.
That is a solid one. I do not mind that, right? Those are kind of those. And I think the extras really need to be that concrete. You know what I mean? They just need to be like, the extras should be short, simple, just like that. Blindsight, 30 feet. Bam. Next one, as a reaction, reduce all damage from a single attack by 10. You can use this feature once. Again, not enough damage and not enough options to try it. I'm using this shift to do it once. Yeah, and it's just not enough damage. Like, only by 10, it's
definitely not enough damage being reduced. I'd make it a roll.
Yeah, like every round you can reduce damage from a single attack by a D10. Or like a D20 or something like that.
I'd do like
3D6, like
something like that. Yeah, something like that. Something closer to that. 2D10.
And I would just let that just be consistent. Just reduce damage. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing wrong with one. Again, you're at this level, at level 10, you're dealing with multi-tech all the time.
Sure.
You
use your action or use your action. Like, putting all of a bunch of stuff on your reaction economy doesn't necessarily make you invincible.
Yes.
It makes you selective about how you use your reaction economy.
It's
you know what I mean?
It makes you very versatile.
Yes. Like, yes, you can do different things. Number one, you have to remember you can do those things. And number two, you have to have not used your reaction for anything else, for any other purpose. If somebody left your threatened range and you wanted to use an opportunity attack, well, guess what? Your reaction's gone. If you're doing anything else that requires you to have that, like, you don't just get to do this whenever you want to. So
yeah,
I think that I get why the limitations, because certain things can feel strong, but no, give me more than that.
And the last one, you can stretch your neck, allowing you to peek around corners and through tight spaces up to 10 feet away. It sounds nice for a roleplay aspect.
It's cool, but I don't need it.
It's like there would have been simpler ways to do this. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, especially with only 10 feet, it's like, it sounds like there was one specific like thought process of like, oh, there's a moment I can see this working.
Yeah, and then it's like, okay, I stretched my neck. Now I've been shifted like this. Do I just shift back and then or do I keep this crazy long
and
neck?
We don't know. Is turning off a shift the same as using a shift? Like, once you shift, does it auto turn off, or does it take a use of your shift to go back to humanoid form?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's like turning off wild shape. It's like you can exit your wild shape,
so
and that ends your
these.
Yeah, but like it.
But wasting one just to do that and then turn it off,
Exactly.
and then just like, oh well, that one's gone for however long.
That's why, there was a time where I tried to set up the wild shapes in my in the Cineverse to basically work like you can shift into something and you get a number of hours in that shape, but you can shift in and out of that shape as many times as you want, so you don't have to stay in that shape the whole time.
Oh, but
you're locked into that one shape.
That's an interesting.
You're locked into that shape. You get it for that amount of time period, just so that it doesn't feel so limiting.
So for the glider, it does say you can glide up to 60 feet horizontally and take no damage. Yeah, I don't really understand how that, like, the 60-foot horizontal matters, because it depends on how high you are, right? Does that mean that if it's...
So I think it's basically featherfall, right? And when you're falling, generally you can only go downwards.
Featherfall
right?
will only go straight down.
I believe so. So. You might. Yeah, I think you can only go straight down. But when you are a glider, you can move horizontally up to 60 feet around, depending on how far down you're falling.
Gotcha. So it's not a straight line. It's more of like you're just kind of like a parachuter. You're just like circling down safely.
If that's what you want to do. But like, say if I jump off of a cliff and I want to get down to the bottom of the cliff safely, I can either fall straight down with something like Featherfall, or I can glide out and perhaps get over a very large ravine that's much lower.
So because it just says when you do 60 feet horizontally, is that like 60 feet per turn or per round?
Yes.
Okay.
Round.
So it's just however long it's going to take you to go.
Yes, because you theoretically fall at 60 feet down, and so as you're
so this is 60 by 60. So every round you're going a 60 by 60 angle.
Every round you're going 60. It's whether you're straight down or straight down and out.
Gotcha. So it's not so much that it's 60 feet horizontal. It's just saying that if you are falling, you can use glide, and for every round you are falling, you can glide up to 60 feet horizontal.
Correct.
But you will also still be falling
60 feet down.
60 feet down.
Yes.
You're just going to fall at a safe rate. So yeah, you would be able, if you jumped off 1,000 feet, however many rounds that is, that's how many 60 feet out you'd be able to continue gliding safely until you hit the ground. It's basically just flying without direction, or flying but in the downward direction.
Sure.
Falling with style.
Falling with style.
That's what the kids say nowadays, right?
That's exactly what it is.
Okay, so I'm torn. I love the concept here. Like, this was such a great concept. I was super excited to go over this and see what we had. The prehistoric build, the idea of going back in time, I think, was phenomenal, right? Definitely unique. Definitely is going to deserve the inspiration point for this one. I like the direction with subverting ideologies and going the non-wild shift route. I just wish we would have stuck there.
Sure.
I wish it would have stayed against wild shape. We would have stuck with only shifting. And I think that if we would have done that, we could have cut out a lot of the fat, brought those abilities down to like maybe 3 bullet points each, make this a little bit cleaner, clean up some of the verbiage. But I also think that instead of just removing all of the stuff we don't think fits with this, all of that gets left on the cutting floor would have been amazing for another type of prehistoric druid that has wild shape. Like imagine that way back in the day, there was this druid and then the druids that became what they are now. Just like, you know, Homo sapiens and Neanderthals.
Yeah.
Like we both roamed the planet at the same time. They're not here and we are.
Right.
I imagine that would be how these druids were. There was a partial shaping druid and a full shaping druid. And I love the idea that the reason why the full shaping druid survived is just like, imagine how our, you know, planet has gone through cycles, right? And there's, you know, heat cycles and ice cycles. Imagine the partial shifters. There was just too many harsher winters that partial shifting wasn't enough.
Sure.
That without being able to shift into a woolly mammoth or something that could burrow, without fully being able to adapt to the environment, what if something happened that was so chaotic on the planet or in history, the partial shifters couldn't adapt because they were the apex predators. Nothing could touch them.
Sure.
But Mother Nature.
Right.
Mother Nature is the only thing that could throw something at them that they couldn't survive. But the other druids, the ones that they used to topple over and the ones that they used to act as prey, they were the ones that were able to burrow underground and stay warm. They were the ones that were able to fully transform and go underwater for longer than an hour.
Right.
Like they were the ones that could transition over a mountain and shift 4 different times into different animals to cross that mountain. Whereas all you got was to shift your legs and jump, but you didn't get to fully shift to go through the ice and then through water and then climb a mountain. Like you didn't have those abilities, right? So I would have imagined having 2 different prehistoric druids would have made some amazing lore, because then you can say why only one truly survived and why these are rare.
Right.
It's just because their kind died out because they could not survive like a real druid who was truly connected to nature. These, and you can even say that these druids were the ones that thought they could control nature, and their hubris led to their dying off.
Sure.
Because while they did control nature, while they literally took the best aspects from everything and became the best apex predators, Mother Nature was the best apex predator of all of them.
Sure.
And only the prey that hid survived. Get that? I mean, that lore could be so enriching to explain why you have this. And that's where I really wish it would have been taken. That's like my desire is, don't remove and get rid of anything. Strip the fat and build a whole new subclass and let those 2 shine as representations of what could have been and what was.
Sure.
That's where I would have gone with that. Because I think almost everything we talked about has a great foundation, right? Being able to do the shifts is absolutely amazing. You know, increasing your hit die to be more of a predator. I love that. The evolution of being able to do multiple shifts, having things like pack tactics, all of that is awesome. Right here, if this would have been at level 6, if this would have been resistance to regular, and then that special shift at level 10 was the magical, would have made way more sense. The primitive awakening, if this had what we were talking about before,
where you moved one of them up the
where you just move a few of these around, and level 10 I think would have felt a lot more substantial and a lot more impactful. But even these last ones were really good. It's just a few little things here and there that really would have made the unraveling of it just more rewarding and more linear in the sense of what you would expect to happen. So there's no ideas were really far off. I think there was just too many ideas. That's the biggest complaint I have, is there were just too many ideas. And really the best thing would have been is to just make a different subclass with the other ideas.
I agree. I think there, to a certain extent, a lot of what you have could be combined or consolidated is the more accurate term. Basically take 2 ideas and put it into one ability instead of, there were a couple of abilities we were talking about, instead of just giving it once per shift, like give it to them the whole time, that I think that could have just been expanded a little bit. But overall, like I said, I love what is here. I love like the feel and the energy. Like the biggest thing that I try to do when I'm hearing these things, I try to put it all together as this creature, is if I'm going to embody this subclass, this thing that I feel like is trying to be represented here, what does that feel like? And I feel like it's I feel what's trying to be represented. I understand what's trying to be represented. There's a couple of ways I feel like you could take what's here and just rearrange it a little bit, but
Right.
that's really all it is for me, is just some organizational things. But I like it a lot. I like it a lot. I think it's very cool. It definitely inspires me on a lot of fronts. It uses things that I never would have thought to use it that way.
Yes.
And to be honest, just because of you and I have talked about how 5th edition does their level progressing, like I totally don't mind adding extra abilities in here, like this 20th level.
I loved this this capstone, like
punching that in there at the end.
That capstone was so cool, and
Yeah.
having this extinction form at the end, like those are the things that really set this apart for me. Like I said, I it's definitely getting a lot of kudos for the inspiration. I just I mean, and again, I'm not saying that anything shouldn't belong. It just doesn't all belong together. That's
sure.
like the only thing I just want to really like say about this is I like almost
It's hard
every
to put all
idea
of it in one of these packages. I feel
yeah.
that.
So I'm gonna say that for the high point compatibility, it's just again it's a little bit messy. There's a lot that it doesn't need, and there's just some rearranging that I would do. But a lot of the good ideas are here, so I'm gonna give this a solid 6. I think there's just too much going on, and I definitely think that the thing keeping it from going any higher than that for compatibility purposes is just the adding back wild shape,
Sure.
the misalignment of some of the things, like the progress where it should be, non-magical damage and then magical damage later, and just how much there is. Those are kind of the three things keeping me from really saying it can get anything
Punching it much higher than that.
Yeah,
Sure.
just because it would just be too much work for me to consider it compatible. The idea is compatible. I will say that. Like
Absolutely.
for the solid idea, it is absolutely compatible because it makes me really think. I mean, I'm working on, this side project that's probably going to take me like a year or two, but I'm working on De-Evolved, which is going to be, I guess, our own TTRPG or
Sure.
at least TTRPG skeleton.
Ish. Yeah.
But that's why this gives me really, unique ideas. But I've not thought about. I've thought so much about different types of druids. I have not thought about a prehistoric druid like this. So it's great. I love the concept. I need it cleaner. I need it to evolve a little bit more, and I want to see a lot of this other stuff applied to a different subclass where it would make more sense, right? One that actually evolve or wild shapes into the creatures, and then one does the partial shape. I really think that having that divide not only would make the lore so much greater, but it would make both builds feel self-rewarding.
Right.
If I could do all of these shifts, it feels rewarding as it is, right? Especially with that final version where you can shift all three selves.
Yeah.
But with the druid that could do prehistoric transformations, I think there's such an opportunity to rewrite how the druid concept of wild shape. Because right now, wild shape feels pretty shoehorned. You wild shape into something that has either more health, more damage, or can move in a very specific way. That's
Sure.
really about it. But going prehistoric, you could really mess with those expectations. You could really find some unique opportunities to make a creature have aspects that you wouldn't normally expect a wild shape to have.
Sure.
I mean, just simply because it's creatures that no one ever sees before. Why not most apex? If you do choose like an apex predator, it should just have like a bonus to intimidation in that form.
That would be very
just
cool.
Because no one's ever. I mean, you transform
Heck
into
yeah.
T-Rex and just roar. Like half the people should make a saving throw to run away
Pee
because
their
who the
pants.
fuck? What is that? There's opportunities there that I think are just yet to be fleshed out.
Sure.
Also, with prehistoric wild shifting, we didn't even get to this conversation, but we're not going to get into it today. We'll save this for later. But this also brings up a whole different idea of if you can wild shape into these prehistoric creatures, many of the prehistoric creatures were magnitudes larger than the versions we see today. A saber-toothed tiger, like a saber-toothed tiger isn't just slightly larger than a tiger. It's like 4 times larger.
Yep.
Just bulky, longer. And I'm just like, so there's a lot of opportunities there for a prehistoric druid to take the shape of things that are generally larger than the shape that you would normally have. And I think that there's a whole conversation about a druid whose only wild shapes are things of like large size.
Right.
So and then there could be another druid of only small. Like, there's a lot of options there, but we're gonna do that. So yeah, so thank you so much for that. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you understand where we're coming from. A lot of great ideas here. It's just it's too much in one class. Take it, and just break this out into two different classes. Make one that's all about single shifting, and make one that's all about prehistoric wild shape. And I think those would be such a tandem subclass set. Just having both of those, especially if two players in the same party got one of each.
Yeah.
You could have so much fun, with those layerings. But that's my only thing, is so many great ideas. I can't see it all in one piece and go, yes, this makes sense. There's too many questions, and there's too many times where I feel like the player's gonna be sitting there going like, so we are in difficult terrain. Okay, but the creature can't go prone, and okay, but I already have one shift. It's like you're almost gonna be trying so hard to all. So I think one of two things would happen, right? Either Kage is correct, and they're going to have read the thing once and been like, well, these are the three things I'm going to always use. Right. And that's it. Option two, they're going to constantly be like, but which one is right now? Which one benefits me with all the things happening? What's the best moment? And I think neither of those are what this deserves.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I think this deserves to have the opportunity to say, I can solve I'm a Swiss Army knife. This class wants to be a Swiss Army knife, but right now it's a Swiss Army knife inside of a toolbox, inside of a garage.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is great, but if I'm already inside of a garage, I don't need the toolbox. And if I'm already in the toolbox, I don't need the Swiss Army knife.
Sure.
I need the Swiss Army knife when I'm doing just the one thing, and I need something that's a jack of all trades. And that's what I want this to be. I want this to be that Swiss Army knife, but away from the garage with all the other fancy tools, because now I just have too much to do.
Right.
So,
okay.
It was really fun, though. Thank you so much for that, Soul. I really appreciate that. As always, hopefully everybody else enjoyed that as well. If you missed anything, or if you want to see any previous ones, you guys can always check the VODs channel on YouTube. We have a VODs channel with all of our unedited live streams, with every other review that we've ever done, history of every pop culture build, sublet and subclass, everything. And then, of course, we have our main channel, which has a few episodes that have been edited.
Very nice.
Yeah, Chimera Druid is one of them. I was happy with that one.
Yeah, I'm actually excited. We got a couple of cool ones on there.
I'm actually curious. Let me see what other episodes are actually. It's been a minute since I've actually checked what episodes. I stopped editing a couple months ago. I will say, it's as much as it sucks to say I gave up on editing. It's not really like I gave up on editing. I just realized it was not the time and place for me to be trying to become an editor and doing all of that. But it has been such a relief just not bothering.
I mean,
just focusing on TikTok has been so nice, but not bothering just sitting down for hours a week just editing.
The time you put forth in it was so valuable, and you got a lot of content out and a lot of ideas on what you're looking for, that I would say, even if you're not still doing it, you accomplished a really
I did 16
goal.
episodes. Holy shit. I did not realize I did that many. I did 16 episodes.
Yeah.
So yeah, we do have 16. So what do we have here? We have the Diamond Dog playable race review was the very first episode I did.
Okay, I remember that one.
The history of enchantment. That was a really good episode. Our subletting subclasses, first the Rune Knight to the Warlock, that was done. Alucard, our pop culture build for Alucard.
That's right.
Was on there. The subclass showdown, the Elemental Ranger.
That one was amazing.
Still one of my favorite live streams that we've ever done. The history of leveling. The history of leveling's on there.
Okay.
There's an episode for becoming a god in High Point. We did subletting subclass, the Battlesmith Artificer to Fighter into the Battle Medic. God, I love that class. That is still that still might be right now my favorite sublet that we've done is the Battle Medic.
That one's awesome.
We did an image to item. That was the Chromatic Lens.
Okay. Yep. There you go.
Path of the Primal Warden subclass review. So Barbarian
that one
review.
wasn't too long ago. I remember that one.
We did another image to item. That was the Arm Ballast. Another. This is the Mindfrost Crescent review. So another review. The history of action economy.
Oh, there you go. I'm into the
Um,
history of it a little bit.
there's a 10-minute rant that I did from TikTok that's on there
Oh yeah.
about making more impactful NPCs or PC endings and balancing risk. Basically, how to make PC death more impactful. Like how to
Gotcha.
make the risk of death feel like an actual risk of death and not just, yep, we're going into battle and I
Sure.
could die, but like how to actually make players worry and make death feel like a part of the game and not like,
That's
oh,
something I actually need to pay attention to rather than just. Ugh.
yep. And then the last two, we did the Chimera Druid. That was 2 months ago. No views on that one. That's unfortunate. Oh no, 3 views. 3 views on that one. I really like the Chimera Druid though. I think that was
No,
I think that was a
love the
fantastic
build we
build.
came out with. That was so cool.
And the last video that I did was Circle of Lustre, the Druid subclass. That was the
Is that a
crystalline.
review we did?
Yeah, that was the crystalline Druid review.
Oh, I think that might have been. Was that Pokeniners build? We got one of his coming up next week.
Was it Pokemon? Let's see. Yes, Pokemon. So yeah, so if any of those are interesting to you, go check out our channel. What's that? What was this for? You sent me a message.
Oh yeah. Remember we were. Oh no, it was the other one. Dang it!
But I already made. That's all right.
I didn't know if you had or not. I was looking.
I know what you're talking about now. Yeah. I will. Thank you for thanks for trying. But yeah. I mean, it still works. It's still good to know that one of us can do it.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so yeah, we've done quite a bit. So go check out our channel over there. I'm also still active every single day, Monday through Friday on TikTok on the main channel. So MisfitGamersStudios on TikTok. And the Dice Profiler. We just got some new inventory for the Dice Profiler.
Oh,
so go check out the
yes.
Dice Profiler on
Very
TikTok.
cool inventory. I cannot wait to see those suckers roll.
Ah, the liquid core. I cannot wait to roll that liquid core.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I love dice, but I was never a dice goblin. But like, it's so funny how into this Dice Profiler like brand I'm getting. Like, you know, it was challenging for me to figure out like Misfit Gamer Studios and like the kind of content we wanted to produce. But whenever I log in as like the Dice Profiler, it's just kind of like, I know it's an easy mindset for me to drop into, like the kind of comments I make, you know, because everything's not necessarily always like puns, but everything is like just dice related.
Yes.
You know, so it's very easy for me to get into that. And now I'm kind of just like, I'm actually getting excited to roll dice, but I don't want to hoard them. I am kind of just like legit getting excited about a point to where I could find super unique, one of a kind dice, roll them, and then move them off to people. So one of the things I want to do, and that we'll be collabing with soon, is personal profiles.
Oh,
so this will probably be a collaborator only thing, and that's where we're going to try to do this with a collaborator here soon. But what I want to do is have like creators find like custom die or die that they already have them send them, and then get a personal profile built, and then have them sent back so they get their little personality profile with their die.
Sure.
And I always like that idea, and then we're going to get a chance to do that with the collab. So I think that would be just, I get excited about that kind of stuff. I'm just like, I'm more excited about the side project, which is great.
Right. No, I love that. I think that's way cool.
So more inventory there. So hopefully this coming weekend, I will have a sit down and be able to do episode 2 for the Dice Profiler, which we will, I think I have 4, 5, 6, like 6 to 8 new dice to roll.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah,
and then
because you said you also have some of those mini ones, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I have 4, 5, 6, and then the 2 liquid cores. So yeah, I have 8 new dice. We have 15 already in stock, and then I have the 8 new ones now. I want to get at least like around a dozen a month at least.
Sure.
But that's just going to depend upon prices and whatnot
and how things move. So that's fair.
So yeah, we're hoping to get some traction there. It's slow. It's a dice shop. You know what I mean? It's not regular content, so it's hard to get traction on it, but we're hopeful.
Sure.
But that's happening. One Shot Rivals is still happening. So we just did a whole bunch of last week. We just finalized a bunch.
Did I write that down? I think I wrote it down somewhere. I had an idea while I was playing the other day. That would have been like, that I was like, oh, we need to do that for One Shot Rivals. So I'm pretty sure I added it in one of my notes. I'll have to find it later.
So yeah, right now we just need to sit down and figure out how we're going to do an official playthrough of a full actual match, just so we can finalize all the numbers, and then I can send that over to the dev for development on the interface. Yay, so much. Love it. I mean, I do really enjoy it. It's just, man, it went from just us just hanging out twice a week, chit-chatting about stuff, to like having a business,
responsibilities and things,
and like a website, and it's just like I'm still enjoying the ideas and still building it, but it means something different back in the day when we were like, oh, we could do that on Friday, we could do like a new type of stream, and now it's like making decisions is like, oh, this is costing me money, and if it doesn't, like, it, it's a failed business, but this could also turn around and just be the new thing that people want, right? Like, I think the idea of getting a dice profile, I love it. I think that this is long overdue for an idea.
Yeah.
I just think it needs to get into the, into the phones of the right people, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
Get in front of the right people. So yeah, we're so many ideas, but at least we're no longer scatterbrained and coming up with things that are just cool ideas. Like, oh, that would be fun. Like OSR is an actual product that we want to come out with and actually do regularly. That is something that we want to grow and somehow turn into, probably I would say that, like, with OSR, my ultimate goal is I would like OSR to be like the thing that truly makes us money on Twitch. Like, I love Monday Review. That will never go away as far as we know, but I don't ever really expect Homebrew Review to be like the thing where I look over and we see like 200 people in chat.
That's what we're known for.
Right. I just don't see that level of commitment. But like OSR, I could see that because it's so interactive with chat and with everybody.
Yeah.
I can see that,
especially on Twitch.
Yes, I can see that being the thing that gets us into the triple digits of viewers. Everything else, I think, is just part about growing the greater TTRPG community, all the creations that we do, the reviews and stuff. I think all of that just leads into a deeper community, and all of the other little minor things that we do, like the tavern talks and the board game nights. Yeah. I think that's just more for our personal community, right? And that's the kind of layers I like to see Misfit Gamer Studios at, right? We have something for our personal internal community, which is the reviews and the tavern stuff and just things that, that people get to know us about. And then there's the things that we do for the greater community, reviewing and creating and trying to just get the idea out there that there are more options. And then, of course, there's everything else that we want to do. But yeah, it's insane that I keep coming up with ideas, but they're not just like episode ideas. They're like legitimate, like, we could take this and go so far with it.
Yep.
I mean, think about how long we've been talking about the ADMG, and these ideas are light years ahead of that. But that's just because that is an idea that takes a long time to develop. There's no way that we're going to have like 10, 15, 20 chapters of a book the day that we come up with the idea, right?
Especially as we move, and especially as we build our little our Discord channel with all of our notes and ideas, we are building a foundation for everything that the ADMG is going to be.
Yes.
And like gathering that over time, and especially with a lot of the work that you're doing with the Oracle, and just having a archive of all of this information, we're going to be able to pull from that super well in order to build and create this when that time comes. So yeah, I definitely think that's ultimately the move.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. So we have a question from Plants about a Forge Cleric. I've never heard of a Forge Cleric before.
Forge Cleric.
They can turn metal into gold, apparently.
Oh, Cleric. I don't know why I was thinking
well, let's see. So heavy armor and tools, blessings of the forge.
Oh, there we go.
You can touch one non-magical object that is a suit of armor or simple martial weapon until the end of your next long rest. The object becomes a magical item. Okay. Artisan's blessing, soul of the forge. Okay, divine strike, saint of the forge. I do not see anything about gold in here. So can you elaborate? Because it says that one of their PCs realized they can turn cell bars in jail into money.
So I think it's the channel divinity. It says the thing you create can be something that is worth no more than 100 GP as a part of the ritual. You may lay out metal, which can include coins with a value equal to the creation. The metal, what is this? The metal coalesces and transforms into the creation at the ritual's end. Magic. No, I guess it doesn't change anything from iron to gold. I mean, you'd have to have like the gold pieces set out for the ritual.
Yeah, it can be worth no more than 100, which means you can't make anything nicer than it is. But you also have to sacrifice, like, well, it says as part of the ritual, you may lay out metal, which can include coins with a value equal to the creation. So if what they're trying to say is that they're using the bars as the laid out metal, and then the bars turn into a value of something that's equal to gold, which,
Sure.
yeah, because it says another. So it says a simple or metal weapon, suit of armor, 10 pieces of ammunition, a set of tools, or another metal object. And then, but see, it says that you conduct an hour-long ritual and craft a non-magical item that must include some type of metal. The creation is complete within the end of the hour. The thing you create must be no more than 100. As part of the ritual, you must lay out your materials. The metal irreversibly coalesces and transforms into the creation at the ritual's end. So here's the problem with that is it's not really turning it into money. It is turning it into something of value. That's the argument. But the problem that I see with this, and this is probably maybe more pedantic over the additions, right? Is by technicality, those bars are part of something larger and therefore are not individualized. In my opinion, for this to work on something like a barred door or a barred window or anything like that in a jail cell, that you would have to remove them essentially from the wall, because the individual parts of something, because typically, especially within D&D and especially within rules of magic, the individual parts of a whole are not targetable. The whole is the targetable.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, if you were to get a bar loose, right, from the window, like get a whole bar loose and bring it out, that you have all day long. But as long as it's affixed to a greater whole, I typically look at those things as they are not individual components. So you can't say, I'm going to remove, like that would be basically say, hey, here's a big messy door, but I'm only going to use the hinges for my ritual, and then the door's just going to fall down.
Sure.
I don't buy it because the hinges aren't individual. Then that means I can just target every individual screw.
Usually when it comes to spells and stuff like that, it says in there something that isn't attached. Like it has to be something that's loose, that's free, that's able to.
And it
be
does say, like, it does have
accessed.
the verbiage of it has to lay out in front of you. So I personally would say that my thoughts on the Forge Cleric is that it does not work the way that your PC is intending to. The idea that you can go around to metal fabrication that is part of infrastructure. I mean, now they're dismantling infrastructure. Those aren't individualized metal pieces. You would have to take the piece out. And again, I don't know about what they're doing to quote unquote turn it into money, but all they can really do is transform it into something else.
Sure.
And it can only be of a certain size,
basically
right? Like
alchemy.
And it's not that much, right? It's not like they can like take down half a building, but they can take bits and pieces. So,
and it feels, well, I mean, yes, it's magic, but yeah, like you said, the magic has to know what to touch, what not to touch.
And it's like it needs an occupied space. So if the metal is in something, there's a lot of ways that I look at that. And I see that, again, raw versus rye. I do not see the intent that when they made this, that the intent was the spell could target individualized metal.
Sure.
Because at that point, anything and everything can be dismantled piece by piece, depending upon how you want to read a spell. Because there are some spells that it's like, because that's why certain spells can't like target something on you. They can only target you. Right. But they can't target like something specific about you or whatever like that. So that would be my thing is I don't believe the Forge Druid has that high of an ability.
Fair enough.
But that's just me.
Fair enough.
I'm not right. I'm not a professional. I'm just a talking head. I'm not a professional. I just play one on TV.
Exactly.
I slept in my own bed last night. I forget what a hotel that was, but Holiday Inn. I slept in a Holiday Inn last night.
Wild.
All right. Well, this was fun though. I'm really happy with this idea of this evolution-based druid, extinction-based druid. I really do like that. I just think it needs a little bit of polishing, and I think it could separate itself from its kin. And there are really two solid ideas there.
Sure.
But I think it's going to be us for today. That was all that we had. We will hopefully by this weekend, or at least by Friday, let you know when September's community stream will be. October's community stream is available for y'all to purchase. Right now, looks like we have 2K already put towards it from the 15K, so you guys can earn that every time we stream. We will be back on Friday as always. This Friday, we were doing something a little bit different. We are going to be bringing back board game night because I got a brand new game.
Yep.
I got Betrayal at Baldur's Gate. If you're not familiar, this is based on the very popular, award-winning Betrayal at House on the Hill. So this is a D&D styled game. It's a tile builder, so the map gets built piece by piece as we explore. And at some point, one of the players is going to betray everybody. No one knows who it's going to be until it happens. And then when it happens, they get new rules, we get new rules, and then everyone has to basically figure out how they have to win. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you enjoy. I hope you join us on Friday for that. But until then, if you see us live, if you see Kage doing some coding on Tuesday, or if you see me playing games, feel free to stop by and say hi. We would really appreciate it. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to pop some links in the chat one more time. So if you haven't followed us everywhere, please do so. Our link tree has all of our social medias. We post daily on TikTok, most days on YouTube. And of course, you can go check out our website where actually we don't have a whole lot of information, but we do have the dice profiler and the dice profiles on the website. So you can go check out what kind of dice we have, the profiles that we have for them, and purchase them if you're looking for a brand new D20 that fits your personality. Because remember, at the dice profiler, that is the only place where you can get to know your die before you buy. We do 100 rolls, we develop 10 stats, and that becomes one personality. So go check that out if it sounds really interesting. MisfitGamersStudios.com/dice profiles. Don't forget the hyphen. But otherwise, I hope you guys had a fantastic week. Hope you guys have a great week ahead of you. We'll be back on Friday, and I hope you all stay cool. Cheers.
Deuces, my friends.